Rams. And if you ask Kyle Rose how the year's been, he'd tell you, quote, emotional. And how couldn't it be? After a year atop the Atlantic 10, the Fordham Rams now find themselves fighting for a single bye at next month's Atlantic 10 tournament. And now looking to take another step forward, Fordham is down in North Carolina for a battle with the Wildcats. And Charlotte is known for many things. NASCAR, the Panthers, the baby, and these days even LaMelo Ball. But if you drive 30 minutes north of the Queen City, you'd find a private liberal arts college called Davidson. And ever since a shifty 6'3" shooter by the name of Steph Curry carried this club to the Elite Eight back in 2008, this place has been known for hoops. And now in 2024, Fordham looking to hold serve on the road and tie up the season series at 1 apiece. It's round 2 of Fordham and Davidson, live from North Carolina, right now on WFUV Sports.
Hello everyone and welcome inside Belk Arena here in Davidson, North Carolina. Tonight the Fordham Rams have made the trip south for their second contest of the year with the Wildcats. I'm Miles Grossman alongside Kris Pursiainen. So glad you could join us here on WFUV. And Kris, tonight the road trip rages on for these Rams, and this evening it's the feisty Davidson Wildcats. And when these two faced off back in January, Davidson had 2 players notch career highs when it comes to scoring. Reed Bailey was a monster in the low post at 24 points, and their veteran point guard Grant Huffman got hot for another career high in 24. So tonight, Kris, really all about adjustments. How much will Fordham be able to reflect and make effective change?
Miles, absolutely a rematch for these two squads here in North Carolina. You love to see the A-10 action carrying on. Home court to now the other home court. We'll see which team comes out victorious today. Yes, sir, Kris. We got a moment of silence coming in a minute here, about 5 minutes from tip in North Carolina between Davidson and Fordham. But before we get underway, we spoke with Fordham men's basketball head coach Keith Ergo. Have a listen. And last time out, a battle with number 16 in the nation, Dayton. A lot of positives to take from that one, but I want to start with that run to open up the second half. A 9-point deficit at the break within a 12-2 run. You land the first punch in that second half. What were the keys to getting things going right out the break?
Yeah, just understanding what we're capable of. Playing a little bit more disciplined, playing harder. We really focused on execution at halftime. We didn't execute a number of defensive schemes that we had talked about for a couple of days. So, and our guys understood that. We made some mistakes on the defensive end. So it was about being a little bit more aggressive defensively. And that's what we did. We got some stops, created some turnovers, and then we converted on the offensive end.
Coach, you guys have seen Davidson before, but this time it's going to be a different lineup from them, and not by choice, right? Their head coach, Matt McKillop, said recently that David Skogman, number 42, is out for the rest of the season. I know his physicality is something you have to game plan for, but now what do you look at in this, new look team for Davidson, whether it was because they wanted it to be new look or not? In this case, not so much, but what kind of different challenge do they present than last time?
Yeah, I mean, it's the exact same situation. I mean, honestly, Skogman, we shut him down. We focused on shutting him down. He didn't do a whole lot the first time. Mm-hmm. It was Huffman and Bailey. They rose to the occasion, and they killed us. I think they combined for close to 50 points. So, for us, they're incredibly tough. They play so hard. You can tell they're connected. Coach McKillop and the staff have done a great job. Look at the last 5-6 games that they've done. They've lost all their games by 2 or in overtime, and even the games that they've won close games. They're older. Huffman's playing at an elite level right now. So is Bailey. Kachera got hot against St. Bonnie's, right? So, they're playing like a desperate team every time out, and they're playing tough. They're playing physical. We know what to expect. We know, they're confident. They came in here, and they out-toughed us the first time. So, we're going to have to be tough, physical, play harder for 40 minutes. That's what we have to continue to do to build trust and continue to be the best team we want to be by the end of the year. We have to continue to grow, play tougher for longer. Played about 25 minutes of Fordham basketball the other night. We need more than that moving forward.
And then last time out after the game, of course, the plane gets delayed, right? So we head back to the hotel, and then a group of Dayton fans approach, right? A bunch of older guys wearing Dayton hats, Dayton shirts. Yeah. And what struck me when I'm watching that is just how public the life is of a head coach, right? Yeah. Even after a tough loss, you got to get right back out there. These guys recognize you, and they want to talk to you. In terms of getting used to life in the public eye, is that something like you feel like you've gotten used to? Do you enjoy that part of the job?
No, I don't think very many people know who the hell I am, quite honestly. They had just come from the game. If they didn't just come from the game, they wouldn't have known who I am. Okay. You know, the goal eventually is to have the program be as high profile as possible because we're successful. And maybe if that happens, but nobody's knocking on my door asking for photographs very often. And if you ever get sick of that, well then, you know, be grateful. And that's one of our pillars. And if I'm going to tell our players to be grateful, then I have to be grateful, and I can never shun anybody. I mean, who the hell am I? So, you know, I'm grateful for the opportunity to be the head coach of any program, let alone Fordham. But also, in respect to that, it's you know, they were very complimentary of our players, of our program, and I think that program is tremendous. And if we could continue to build towards what they've created at Dayton, well, I think we're going to have some long-term success. That's always been the goal.
No second question. I just have a ball and a Sharpie. No, just kidding.
I'll devalue that ball, by the way.
when you say that you want to be the best team you can be by the end of the year, I've loved that goal since you told it to us before the season started, because what it does is it keeps the lens of your season about you guys. Yes. Right? And it keeps it looking in the mirror, individualized. When you think about your relationship with the team and the trust you have in them, what does that look like at the end of the season if it's at its best? Like, with these guys firing on full cylinders?
Yeah, that just means everybody's completely bought into what we're trying to do, collective unit. Everybody's playing as hard as they're capable of playing. They're all holding up fists, you know, which we say if you're playing so hard, you hold up a fist, you're more likely, we'll get you out, you're more likely to go right back in when there's another substitution, as opposed to, you know, trying to conserve energy. That means you're not giving everything you have for your brother next to you or to the guy to the right and the left. And, you know, it's about relationships, about understanding you don't want to let each other down. And these guys have done a tremendous job coming to work every day and putting in the energy and the effort. And that's what you're going to continue to see, because we got really good kids that just want to play their best. They're more upset at the losses and not playing at an elite level. They know what they're capable of, and nobody's more upset than them when they don't play at the level they know we're capable of. And that's all we can ask as coaches.
Coach, thank you so much for your time, and always good luck.
Go Rams.
And welcome back to Davidson, North Carolina, just about 30 minutes north of Charlotte, here on 90.7 FM as we get set for Fordham and Davidson. I'm Miles Grossman alongside Kris Pursiainen. And Kris, while Fordham took a loss at the hands of these Wildcats back in January on Rose Hill, this Davidson team is a bit different. They're starting five. David Skogman has been sidelined for the year with a right foot, and now their sophomore big, Sean Logan, is inserted into that 5 spot.
Yeah, Miles, 2 members of the front court, sophomores now, considering that Reed Bailey is also a sophomore. Of course, he's from Harvard, Massachusetts, went to Brewster, a really successful high school program, so he's been a star player for them this season. 12 points, 6 rebounds a game, and like you said, a career-high 24 points, but you didn't say he had also a career-high 12 rebounds against Fordham earlier this year in the 79-69 routing of the Rams. So the 2 sophomores down low, a versatile, lengthy, and skilled front court.
Absolutely. Now let's take a look at the full Wildcat starting 5. It all starts with Grant Huffman, the senior guard, 6'4" out of Ohio. 24 points last time against Fordham, a career high. And his running mate in the backcourt, Connor Cochera, 2 of 5 from deep last time against Fordham. He's a shooter, and Fordham is going to have to adjust. And then the well-known shooter of this team, number 2, Bobby Durkin at 6'7". Also hit a couple threes last time out. Reed Bailey is the front court, 6'10". As you mentioned, out of Brewster Academy, made an immediate impact as a freshman last year, and he dropped 24 against Fordham. An issue in the low post, to say the least. And then wrapping it up, the sophomore 5, Sean Logan, at 6'10".
Yeah, Sean Logan, like we said earlier, from Westfield, New Jersey, 6'10". He has 35 blocks this season. That leads the team 1.3 a game, Miles.
So it's the Fordham Rams in their road grays and the Davidson Wildcats in their home blacks. Fordham moving left to right, Davidson right to left. In the center circle is Reed Bailey. He taps it back And Davidson will have the first possession of the day, moving right to left. Here's Coach Hera. They'll flip it down low. Now Reed Bailey, right side short corner, back to the basket, looking to go to work on Elijah Gray. Loses the dribble, regains and swings it outside. Here's Bobby Durkin. Left wing now up top for Coach Hera. Top of the circle. Here's Coach Hera. Drops it down low, and a righty hook is well short there. Out of the right hand to Sean Logan. And ripping free the rebound is the Fordham Rams. But Jaffe Medor lackadaisical with the pass. Straight into the hands of Connor Cochera as he commits the frustration foul. Zeros on the scoreboard. Each side commits a turnover out the gate. It's Davidson basketball.
And Miles, each team in an alternate uniform here. Davidson in their black uniforms. It's the blackout Belk night, and Fordham in the grays.
Here's Grant Huffman, a surge of speed ahead into the offensive half at the top of the circle. He'll swing it outside for Bobby Durkin on the right arc. Durkin now up top for Reed Bailey. Top of the circle, here's Reed Bailey. Kyle Rose applies the pressure, dribble drive left side. Reed Bailey rises and he draws contact. This will be the first of the day on Kyle Rose, and certainly a key for the Fordham Rams today is playing defense without fouling. Well, that's early, the first of the day on Kyle Rose.
Rose wanted the jump ball call there, but he certainly wasn't going to get it. He was all up in Reed Bailey's grill, Miles.
So 0-0, 19:06 to play on our first half clock. As Reed Bailey, the breakout star of last time against Fordham, 24 points in that matchup, steps to the free throw line.
And Miles, speaking of Reed Bailey at the free throw line, one more fun fact from his performance on January 17th against the Fordham Rams. He tied a school record by going 12 of 12 at the free throw line. How about that?
And he's a 78%er on the campaign as he's no good off the right side of the iron. And Chris, good old-fashioned announcer's jinx, pardon me. It's a 0-0 ball game.
Yeah, Bailey, 6'10", 220 out of Harvard, Massachusetts. Lanky frame, but skilled and long. It's a good combo in modern basketball.
So Bailey deeply bends the knees, and he's pure on the second. It's a 1-0 Davidson start here at home, and now the full court pressure out of the Davidson Wildcats in their blacks. Jaffe Medor bursts of speed ahead on the DC logo as he crosses the timeline at the top of the circle. Here's Jaffe Medor. Left-hand dribble with the right hand. He'll bounce it over to Will Richardson. Righty slide. It's Will Richardson. Takes the ball back from Kyle Rose on the curl. Kyle Rose can't handle the pass at the top of the circle, but he regains. 9 seconds to shoot here. Kyle Rose on the right arc. Dribbles behind the back. Now 3 seconds to shoot, flips it over left side, and Will Richardson left corner as it expires, no good. Too strong, but Ramad Dean, offensive rebound, finds Rose. Rose the three, no good off the left side of the iron, and Reed Bailey clears the Davidson board. 18:26 first half. And Davidson moving left to right here as it flips through. It's Grant Huffman, dribble drive straight down the lane, and a 3-0 Davidson lead.
Second straight game, Ramad Dean has helped tip one in for the other team. He's so active around the rim, sometimes it goes awry.
Elijah Gray looking for the flip down low, and the pass is picked off. Here's Reed Bailey. The scrum on the floor with Kyle Rose. It's the jump ball. And the possession arrow going Fordham's way, so it'll stay here with the Rams in the offensive set. But it's a 3-0 Davidson lead here at home. 18:03 to play first half.
You're interested to see what the Rams have drawn up out of the inbounds. You think maybe with 15 seconds on the shot clock, they try to get one off quick out of the hands of Rose or Medor from beyond the three-point line. Tie this up.
18:03 first half, 15 seconds to shoot. It's Will Richardson, the baseline trigger man, flips it high into the hands of Elijah Gray. Left side, Elijah Gray can handle it, and into the hands of Cochera. A second steal forced here for the Davidson Wildcats, and Grant Huffman now pushing right to left. Huffman, top of the circle, angles his way to the left side of the wing. Here's left wing, knee-high dribble for Grant Huffman. Swings it over to Durkin at the top of the circle. Durkin finds Bailey. High post. Bailey, dribble drive in on the smaller Medor. Handoff for Bobby Durkin on the right arc. Durkin swings it over. Here's Grant Huffman. Huffman on the left arc. Two dribbles with the left hand. Cuts left to right on Ramad Dean. Dribble drive. The fade is much too strong as the shot clock expired. Didn't make contact with the rim there, so it'll be a shot clock violation. 17:27 first half. Fordham still scoreless, but they get the stop. It's 3-0 Wildcats.
Yeah, and Davidson's full court press, Miles, is a 1-2-2, so they're really trying to block out any shooting opportunities. You see Ergo onto the court barking out orders. He wants the Rams to advance it quick.
Medor crosses the half-court stripe, gets double-teamed, and bounces it ahead to Richardson. Richardson to Rose. Rose right arc three, no good. Short there. Another wide-open rebound for Bailey. Bailey up to Huffman. Huffman to walk it up once again, this time with a little bit of pace. Swings it over to Kuchera on the right perimeter. Kuchera, the knee-high dribble, swings it up top for Grant Huffman. Huffman up top for Bailey. Thought about the three at the top of the circle. Dribble drive in on Gray. The lefty lay, no good strong, but draws the contact from Elijah Gray. So Reed Bailey heads back to the free throw line with 16:56 to play first half. It's a 3-0 Davidson game.
Yeah, Miles, this is something about Reed Bailey that I want to say goes underrated about his game, his ability to slow things down. Of course, skinny, small for his size. You know, it seems like he's not exactly 6'10" when you look at him, but it's that 220 frame that allows him to be so mobile. And when he can stop the clock, slow the game down, and tack on points on the board for Davidson, it's a big advantage.
So Reed Bailey good on the first of two as the toilet bowl is rounded down. It's a 4-0 start for the Davidson Wildcats here at home in their blacks, but a good time now to take a look at those Fordham starters. Jaffe Medor, Will Richardson in the backcourt. Kyle Rose makes his 134th appearance as a Fordham Ram, and in the young front court of Elijah Gray and Ramad Dean. But here's Jaffe Medor, a burst of speed in the offensive set. Looking to go coast to coast, the lob to Ramad Dean through his hands and right into the hands of Reed Bailey. Bailey to push ahead, moving right to left, swings it up top for Huffman. Huffman at the top of the circle. It's 5-0 Davidson. 16:40 to play first half. Huffman top of the circle, back to Durkin. Durkin now finds his big guy at the top in Sean Logan. Logan back to Bailey. Bailey dribble drive right through the lane with the lefty scoop. And a 7-0 start for Davidson here at home.
Nimble from Bailey there, navigating through three Ram defenders, getting an open lane to the cup.
And Fordham still scoreless, 3.5 minutes in. Here's Kyle Rose. Chest pass up top for Will Richardson. Richardson outside on the right arc. Connor Kuchera applies the pressure. He bounces it inside for Elijah Gray. Gray draws two defenders and skips the one-hand pass right out of bounds on the baseline. 16:06 first half. And Fordham, an ugly turnover there. It's 7-0 Davidson Wildcats here at home.
Yeah, and some substitutions right away from Coach Ergo. That young front court heading straight to the pine in favor of Josh Rivera and Abdou Timbilla. Obviously, Rivera also a sophomore, much like Gray and Dean, but Timbilla, far more experienced big man. He'll come in and provide some much-needed rim protection against Bailey.
So 4 minutes in, and Fordham still looking for their first bucket. It's 7-0 Davidson with the basketball. Grant Huffman, top of the circle, flips it in to the hands of Adam Hunter. Stuck in the right quarter. Hunter, who just stepped on, angles his way to the top of the key. Flips it up top for Reed Bailey. Bailey finds the cutter, and Connor Kuchera, the wide-open layup on the left block, and a 9-0 Wildcat start. Jaffe Medor this time walks it up, taking his time. 15:33 and ticking in the first half. 9-0 Davidson. Of course, the under 16 coming at the next whistle. Jaffe Medor outside on the left wing, flips it up top for Josh Rivera. Josh Rivera spins around left elbow, and he draws contact. It'll be interesting to see if this one's on the floor or not, but that'll stop the clock with 15:22, and the Fordham Rams yet to get on the board. It's 9-0 Davidson.
Yeah, it'll be Josh Rivera, the 42.6% free throw shooter, with the first two opportunities to get the Rams on the board. Miles, a tough offensive go of it thus far. Fordham unable to get into the teeth of the defense without Davidson collapsing on them. The Wildcats are daring the Rams to shoot from deep, and they're not answering that call.
9-0 Davidson here at home. It'll be two free throws for Josh Rivera when we come back. 15:22 to play first half. You're listening to Fordham men's basketball on WFUV Sports.
What's going on, guys? I'm Jack Warner, one of your New York Rangers beat reporters for the 2023-2024 NHL season. I'll have you covered all season long as New York looks to bring a Stanley Cup back to the Big Apple in Peter Laviolette's first season as head coach. Follow me on Twitter at Jack_Warner23 for live game updates, post-game media availability, and all things Blue Shirts.
And back inside Belk Arena here in Davidson, North Carolina. It's a 9-0 start for the Davidson Wildcats over your Fordham Rams. I'm Miles Grossman alongside Kris Pursiainen. And Kris, the Fordham defense has been up and down, but it's the offense that's the big issue to start. Still Fordham looking for their first field goal, their first point of the evening.
Well, Miles, they've only taken 4 shots thus far tonight, and 3 of them have come from beyond the arc. Some proof that the Rams, yes, are benefiting from, maybe some positive regression to come. But, it's also the fact that they're getting forced into these three-point looks early. You want them to be able to assert themselves. You want to see Medor attacking the paint, dumping low to a Timbilla or a Gray, kicking out to the corner for a Rose. Instead, it's been Kyle Rose taking threes from the top of the key with 4 seconds left on the shot clock. It's a little bit different.
And a key point right there is 4 seconds left on the shot clock, right, Kris? When you look at this Davidson Wildcat Ken Palm sheet, what really stands out is their ability to slow teams down. I mean, Fordham has gotten late in the shot clock many of their early offensive possession, and that's exactly what the Davidson brand is.
Yeah, Elijah Gray already with 2 turnovers, and you can see why the Rams are struggling, but see if Antrell Charlton can give them a spark.
So it's Fordham basketball. The lob into Josh Rivera, dribble drive, the turnaround, and the lefty lay off the window and down, and that gets Fordham on the board. It's 9-2 Davidson, 15-12 and ticking. Now that full court pressure intensifies for Fordham, but Davidson able to breed it. Here's Huffman at the top of the circle. Knee-high dribble, chest pass over to Durkin, gets it back. Huffman, top of the key now, fakes right, dumps it in for Bailey. Bailey on the A-10 logo. Back to the basket, rises with the left hand, no good. Well short over Josh Rivera, and Rivera pulls down the wide open rebound for Fordham. Charlton chest pass into the offensive half for Jaffe Medor. Medor outside on the left wing. Medor curls around top of the key, loses the dribble, but Abdou-Simbila recovers, finds Kyle Rose. Right arc three, Kyle Rose, well short there off the right side of the iron. And Grant Huffman, the rebound for Davidson. Davidson pushes into the offensive half, finds Cochera, and gets it back at the top of the key. Hunter Adam, chest pass over to Durkin on the right arc. Back to Huffman now. Grant Huffman surveying the D at the top of the circle. 14 seconds to shoot. He finds Connor Cochera. Cochera over to Huffman. Huffman outside on the left arc. 2 dribbles with the right hand, looking for the overhead pass. He finds it down low. Reed Bailey, and Reed Bailey wide open under the cup. The righty lay, and an 11-2 Wildcat lead.
He wasn't wide open, Miles. He had Jaffe Medor on him, but he basically was wide open. That's a big mismatch.
Exactly right. The mismatch down low, and Davidson capitalizes. It's 11-2. Davidson on top. Kyle Rose, right side short court, bounces inside for Abdou, and Abdou draws contact. This will be on Bobby Durkin, certainly on the floor. This will be the baseline inbound for the Fordham Rams in the offensive set. It's 11-2, Davidson here at home, 13:53 first half.
Also on the floor was the foul committed against Rivera earlier. That's why he never made it to the charity stripe. It was just a continuation there.
Appreciate that, Kris. And Josh Rivera now on the A-10 logo. A spin around fadeaway, no good off the right side of the iron.
Bad shot.
And Angelo Brizzi rips free the rebound. The Villanova transfer. Brizzi, the backup guard, pushes into the offensive set. You're exactly right, an ugly shot there, Kris. But Brizzi, top of the circle, hesitates with the left-hand dribble, surveying, and bounces it over to Huffman. Huffman on the left arc with 15 seconds to shoot. He bounces it down low for Reed Bailey. Bailey dribble drive left side, the righty hook, no good. Abdou some good pressure, but Kyle Rose can't handle the rebound. It's last touch Kyle Rose. It'll stay right here with Davidson under the basket. 13:24 first half. It's 11-2. Davidson Wildcats here at home.
And Jameer Tripp checking in for Fordham. So some youth injected into the lineup. You see Tripp 6'6", and probably just about 225 at this juncture of the season. Slimming down.
So here's Hunter Adam, near side short corner, finds his point guard in Grant Huffman. Huffman top of the circle, surges in on Antrell Charlton, picks up his dribble at the top of the key, finds Cochera, chest pass over to Reed Bailey. Bailey on the left arc, outside Hunter Adam, and Hunter Adam travels on the right arc, a little too aggressive. Took a step before he took a dribble, and with 13:09 to play in our first half, it's going back Fordham's way, but an awfully slow start offensively. It's Davidson up 11-2.
Ergo with the play call. It'll be scripted action for the Rams here. Medor will have some offensive weapons out there, and Tripp and Charlton to execute.
Charlton top of the key, chest pass over to Jameer Tripp. Lefty slot, Tripp picks up his dribble and finds Jaffe Medor. Medor left side perimeter, surges and kicks it over to Charlton. Now Tripp stuck in the right corner, dribble drive right side, and gets the righty lay to fall. Davidson up 11-4 now, 12:47 and ticking first half.
And there's the body control and athleticism of Jameer Tripp, a lethal combination.
And the double team in the backcourt on Grant Huffman, but he bounces into Cochera, and Cochera will cross the timeline. Cochera to Bailey, left corner. Surges in on Abdou-Simbila and hands off for Angelo Brizzi. Brizzi, left corner, dribble drive past Josh Rivera, and he looked like either he stepped out of bounds on the baseline or drew contact from Josh Rivera. And it looks like 55 will be the call. So Josh Rivera, the guilty party. It'll be the baseline inbound in the offensive set once again for Davidson. It's 11-4 Wildcats here at home. 12:27 to play in our first 20.
Davidson, some lineup shuffling going on. It's Hunter Adam, the New Zealander, headed to the bench, as well as Reed Bailey.
And so Sean Logan, the starting 5 today at 6'10", 220, just the sophomore at 2.8 points per game. He's taken a big step up in the absence of David Skogman, and he's back out there with the basketball. Here's Logan, top of the key. Angles his way to the right perimeter and hands off for Brizzi. Brizzi. Knee-high dribble with the left hand and flips it over to Kochera. Kochera, righty slide dribble, drive, and it's swatted back off the glass. Abdu Simbila, clean block, and Will Richardson into the offensive half. Now up top for Antrell Charlton. Charlton, top of the key. He'll swing it over to Richardson. Richardson, right side of the arc, back to Charlton. 20 seconds to shoot. Over to Jameer Tripp, now back to Charlton. Top of the key, 3, Antrell Charlton in and out there. Abdu Simbila taps the offensive rebound to himself, and he draws contact down low. And let's see, this one's on Ricky Gadini. So that'll stop the clock with 11:54. Another foul on the floor for the Davidson Wildcats here at home. It's 11-4. Wildcats on top here in the first half.
Gadini provides the Wildcats with a unique archetype of player, Miles. A 6'7" redshirt sophomore guard, 210 pounds, from Milano, Italy. And he's actually a member of Milan's Pallacanestro Bernareggio for 3 years of professional club, so he's got lots of experience playing with some bigger bodies.
So Fordham, an ugly start offensively, looking to pick things up. It's 11-4 Davidson here at home with 11:54 to play in our first 20. But with that, we'll send it back to our Rose Hill studios for a scoreboard update with Ben Oppenheimer.
The one-on-one scoreboard.
Taking a look at the 2 other games in A10 men's basketball tonight, the Billikens are in Pittsburgh as a struggling St. Louis team faces off against the Duquesne Dukes. Score is currently 25-6 Duquesne with 11.5 minutes to go in the first half. And on CBS Sports, the cruising VCU Rams are looking to extend their 4-game win streak to 5 as they're currently battling the Minutemen up at UMass. UMass is off to a very strong start as the Minutemen lead 17-5 with 12 minutes left in the first. Moving over to the top 25, Missouri is desperately looking for a win at home against number 8 Tennessee, as the Tigers have gone 0-12 in the SEC so far. Tennessee is leading 4-2 in a low-scoring game with 12.5 minutes left. Looking ahead to some later matchups tonight, at 8:30 on FS1, it's a big matchup between 2 Big East teams as number 1 UConn is heading to Nebraska to play number 15 Creighton, as the Huskies are looking to extend their win streak to 15. Starting off with the 9 p.m. games, number 11 Baylor is in Utah to face off against number 25 BYU. You can catch the game on ESPN. On CBS Sports, number 23 Texas Tech looks to defend home court in an in-state rivalry within the Lone Star State, as the TCU Horned Frogs head to Lubbock, hoping to get a win on the road. And for the last 9 p.m. game of the evening, number 19 San Diego State heads to Utah to face the Aggies. You can also catch that one on CBS Sports. With the one-on-one scoreboard, I'm Ben Oppenheimer.
And welcome back to the Charlotte region of North Carolina here on the campus of Davidson. Davidson leads your Fordham Rams 11-4 at the moment. And Kris, the box score for Fordham pretty much tells the story. 2 of 8 from the field, 0 for 5 from 3.
Yeah, and Fordham, like I said earlier, getting forced into some threes. Davidson, 8 points in the paint to Fordham's 4.
So Fordham in the offensive set. Jameer Tripp into Will Richardson. Left corner 3, Will Richardson. No good, strong there. And Gadini rips free the Davidson rebound. Ahead to Brizzi, the backup guard. Brizzi looking to go coast to coast, swings it back up top. Outside for Grant Huffman now. Grant Huffman, some pressure from Jameer Tripp. He'll flip it in the hands of Sean Logan. Logan outside on the left perimeter. 2 dribbles and he angles his way to the top of the circle. Hand off for Grant Huffman. Huffman on the left elbow and the foul on the floor prior to the shot. So Antrell Charlton, the guilty party here, well away from the basketball. Or Jameer Tripp, pardon me, the guilty party. 11:31 to play. That'll stop the clock. Still in the offensive set. And Josh Rivera and Jameer Tripp will both check off now for Fordham. It's Davidson basketball.
Rose and Gray coming in.
And the pass initially poked free there, but recovered at the top of the key by Gadini. Gadini to Brizzi at the top of the circle. The Nova transfer on the A10 logo. Kicks up top for Grant Huffman. Huffman surveys the D. 8 seconds to shoot. Dribbles between the legs, moving right to left. Dribble driving on Antrell Charlton. The righty turnaround gets it to go. 13-4 now. Davidson on top. 11:08 to play, first half.
That's Huffman's signature, Miles. The post hook turnaround with the one hand.
Antrell Charlton, knee-high dribble at the top of the circle. Flips it over Elijah Gray. Left arc three, nothing but net. Beautiful offense for the Charlotte native. And a 13-7 start now for Davidson.
Yeah, Fordham got some points on the board. 1 of 7 from 3 now, thanks to Eli Gray with the first make of the night for the Rams.
Huffman surveys at the top of the circle. Kyle Rose applies the pressure. 10:40 and ticking first half. 13-7. Davidson on top with the basketball. Cadini drops it down low for the cutter, and the reverse lay. Connor Cochera off the window and in. It's 15-7 Wildcats.
Cochera, 29 points, 8 rebounds. Last time out in overtime at St. Bonaventure, and now continuing that momentum, that nice backdoor cut.
And Cochera's piecing together quite the senior year for the Davidson Wildcats. Here's Charlton. Dribble drive, right side of the lane. Rises with the righty scoop. A lot of contact, no call. Abdu Simbila, the offensive rebound, and he's no good on the lefty putback. And Grant Huffman will wrap up the possession. Halfway through our first half, it's 15-7. Davidson on top with the basketball. Grant Huffman.
Huffman still scoreless somehow.
Good closeout there, but Cochera, a top of the key three, and that makes it an 18-7 lead now for Davidson.
He was 4 of 7 from downtown in that 29-point performance, so hot shooting from deep, too.
He can get hot in an instance. Back-to-back buckets out of Cochera. 18-7 Davidson. Here's Richardson. Dumps it down low for Abdu. Abdu rises with 2 hands, and he draws contact. This one will be on Sean Logan. So Abdu Simbila earns a trip to the free throw line with 9:29 to play in our first half. It's 18-7. Davidson on top here at home.
That's the 3rd foul Simbila has drawn today. Of course, not all of them resulted in trips to the line. This was his first, but here's the thing, Miles. It's really important against a team like Davidson, who's longer and more skilled than you, to be able to slow that clock down the way Reed Bailey does all the time. So for Simbila, drawing 3 fouls is a big deal. The other foul magnet on the Rams is Jameer Tribb. We'll see if he can get back to those ways when he's in.
That's a good point. So Abdu, physical down low, and it pays off here. So he stands at the free throw line, and he's pure on the first of 2 free throws, making an 18-8 lead now for the Davidson Wildcats. 9.5 to play in our first half. And Abdu Simbila, it's an interesting story. He was an everyday starter for these Fordham Rams, but his last start was against Davidson back in January. He's been moved to the second unit.
Yeah, in favor of the younger front court and Dean and Gray. Fordham likes to start the game out with them, and then about 4 minutes in, they pull them for Rivera and Simbila. I think it's about just starting the game, playing fast, playing hard.
So a 2 of 2 trip there for Simbila. It's an 18-9 Davidson lead in their home blacks with the basketball. Brizzy, the Nova transfer, flips it up top for Huffman. Huffman to Gadini on the 8-10 logo. Gadini resets for Brizzy. Brizzy draws 2 defenders and finds Huffman. Huffman, left arc, fakes the 3, flips to Brizzy. Brizzy, top of the circle and in and out there. Had a great look at 3, but Ramad Dean rises and pulls down the Fordham rebound. Ahead to Will Richardson, 9 to play in our first half. Here's Ramad Dean, outside left perimeter, finds Antrell Charlton stuck in the left-hand corner. And Brizzy switches onto him. Here's Antrell Charlton. Stuck on the left arc. Flips it up top. Elijah Gray. Top of the key 3. No good. Off the right side of the iron. And Brizzy pulls down the free Davidson board.
And Gray from Charlotte, North Carolina. A bit of a homecoming for him.
Drive and kick. Here's Gadini. Right corner 3. No good. Strong there. And Antrell Charlton able to corral the board into the hands of Elijah Gray. Ahead to Will Richardson on the left arc. Now it's 18-9. Davidson on top. 8:23 to play in our first half. Here's Kyle Rose. Right perimeter. 2 dribbles with the left hand and pulls it back. Finds Elijah Gray at the top of the key, and it's the kick ball out of play here. Angelo Brizzi able to get the left foot in there and knock it out of bounds. The basketball will stay here with the Fordham Rams. 8:15 to play in our first half. It's 18-9. Davidson still holding Fordham down offensively.
Same lineup for Fordham now, except for one change. Charlton out, Medor in. Fordham gets their dribble drive penetrator back in the game. The 2-guard backcourt of Medor and Richardson will need some success here if Fordham wants to hang around.
Kyle Rose, the far sideline inbounder, looking to find a man, and he finally finds Will Richardson, just beating the 5-second violation. So Richardson will now walk it up, moving left to right on the Davidson logo. Cuts left to right on the left elbow and finds Ramad Dean. Dean top of the key three, and he nails it. 18-12, Davidson only on top by 2 scores.
And like at a high school musical, Dean and Richardson pointed at each other at the exact same time after that. You know they practiced that look.
Spadone, top of the key, kicks it over to Durkin. Durkin to Brizzy, top of the circle, knee-high dribble. Cuts left to right on Dean, fakes the 15-footer and finds Reed Bailey. Bailey dribble drive from the left side, no good, strong with the right hand, but pulling down the rebound is Spandone, and it's a wrestling match down low between Medor and Spandone, and it'll be the jump ball called. Possession arrow staying right here with Davidson. But a defensive battle early in our first half. It's 18-12. Wildcats on top here at home. 7:37 to play in our first half.
And Fordham showing signs of life now, up to 12 points in this one, knocking down some shots from deep. And most importantly, just staying with the pace of this game. It feels like now down just 6, 18-12. They're really in it. It felt like down 18-9 for some reason. Not much of a score difference, but like they were close to being dead in the water. It was as if the momentum was dwindling along with the scoreboard. Now, Fordham began to fight back a little bit, even though they were down by 9. And of course, now they're only down by 6.
So Davidson the early lead. It's 18-12. The Wildcats lead your Rams with 7:37 to play in our first 20. This is Fordham men's basketball on WFUV Sports.
Hey guys, it's Nick Palmer, your New York Islanders beat reporter for the 2023-2024 NHL season. Tune into my Twitter at NickPalmer55 for live game updates in addition to pre- and post-game analysis. To get updates on all things Isles, follow me as the Blue and Orange try to bring another Stanley Cup championship to Long Island.
Back here in Belk Arena in Davidson, North Carolina. Davidson on top, 18-12. I'm Miles Grossman alongside Kris Pursiainen. And Kris, after an 0-for-5 start from downtown for the Fordham Rams, they now stand at 2 of their last 9. So picking up just a tad from downtown.
Yeah, well, Miles, they have 12 points as a team. That's exactly how many Davidson has in the paint. So it's 12-4 in the points in the paint battle, and that's why the score is 18-12. Davidson, only 1 of 3 from downtown, is not relying on the most volatile shot in basketball to propel their point scoring total. Instead, they're going in the paint, and look at Reed Bailey. He's drawn 2 fouls. He's got 7 points. Connor Cochera has hit a 3, but he's got 7 points. He's 3 of 4 from the field. Davidson's taken their time, playing their game, and Fordham's right now letting it happen. We'll see if they can change that out of this break.
So Bailey, 2 early trips to the free throw line as he catches in the mid post here. Back to the basket on Kyle Rose, rises with the right hand and draws contact on the floor. Kyle Rose hit the deck looking to draw the charge, and he's whistled for the block. So once again, right out of the timeout, Reed Bailey steps up to the free throw line. It's already 18-12. Davidson on top, 7:35 first half.
And I was talking about fouls drawn for Bailey earlier, for Tripp, for Simbila. Well, now Bailey's up to 3 fouls drawn, tied for a game high. So you see him back at the free throw line. He's 3 for 4 thus far tonight. And you look at his season, he's shooting 78%.
And he rattles around and out there, and a key part of all 3 fouls drawn for Reed Bailey is they're all shooting fouls. This guy gets his positioning down low and almost forces Fordham to make contact.
He plays a lot like Sam Breen did for UMass last year, that fundamental basic game as a big power forward.
So a 1 of 2 trip out of the right hand to Reed Bailey. It's a 19-12 Davidson lead here at home. 7:30 to play in our first half. Here's Jaffe Medor. Surges ahead in the offensive set. It's the knee-high dribble with the left hand. Cuts left to right, now picks up his dribble and finds Dean. Dean can't handle the pass. It's back to Medor. 15 seconds to shoot. Here's Jaffe Medor. Right side of the arc, fakes the 15-footer, dumps it down low for Dean. Dean under the basket, rises with the right hand and kisses it off the glass. It's a 19-14 Davidson lead. Fordham within 5. Here's Bobby Durkin into the offensive set. Left side forecourt. He'll swing it up top for Brizzy. Brizzy, the Nova transfer, chest pass over to Spandone. Over to Brizzy. Angelo Brizzy fakes the 3. Now Ramad Dean. applies the pressure. Full dump it down low for Gadini. Gadini, heart of the paint, back to the basket. 5 feet away. The turnaround with the left hand, no good, off the window. Ramad Dean the rebound and ahead to Jaffe Medor. It's 19-14. Davidson the lead. 6:40 to play in our first half. Medor, top of the circle, dribble drive, splits 2 defenders and kicks it out right arc. Here's Jameer Tripp and a pretty no-look pass. He finds Elijah Gray right under the bucket and an easy 2 off the window. Fordham within 3.
Dimer badge activated for Jameer Tripp. Holy moly, Miles. No look, one hand. That was footballish.
6:21 and ticking first half. 19-16 Davidson. The lead and the basketball. Here's Bobby Durkin, right corner, flips it up top for Brizzy. Brizzy chest pass over to Spondone. Over to Gadini. Gadini on the left side perimeter finds Brizzy. Brizzy moving around the perimeter and finds Spondone. Right corner 3, no good. Off the heel, and Elijah Gray the rebound. A burst of speed ahead, and he finds Will Richardson. Richardson crosses the timeline. Now a burst of speed, and he finds, this time it's Jaffe Medor. Medor, knee-high dribble with the right hand, and he decides to slow things down. 5:45 first half. Here's Jaffe Medor. Left arc 3. He steps back. No good on the pullback 3 off the left side of the iron. It's 19-16. Davidson the lead.
Medor needs to be aggressive about getting into the paint, not about getting his shot off from downtown.
5:34 to play first half. Brizzy holds the horns in the air and wants the timeout now. A little bit of offensive confusion for Matt McKillop and the Davidson Wildcats, and they will head to the bench.
And Ricardo Gadini hearing it from Matt McKillop. I think he looked at him and said, do you even want to run this play? Like, it was something like that where it was a complete questioning of intention. I mean, sarcastically, of course, but Gadini, whatever it was, wasn't executing the offensive concept properly there. Miles, I want to ask you about one of the Fordham performers, get a little analysis from your end of the table here. Your thoughts on Ramad Dean thus far?
Ramad Dean is a great player, and then the thing that I've seen out of him today is just his activity, right, Chris? I mean, the way he's able to push forward and get it done on both ends. It seems he's the kind of guy who can get you the offensive rebound or the 3 when it matters most.
Well, Dean, 2 of 2 from the floor, 1 3, 1 2, so that's 5 points and 3 rebounds from number 2, and one of those rebounds was offensive. You saw him get way up for that one. This is continuing a productive trend for him. 7.3 points per game in his last 6, Miles.
It's a great stat there. And Fordham, after a really slow offensive start, Chris, only 4 points at the under-16 media timeout, has picked it up quite a bit. Now they trail just by 3, 19-16 with 5.5 to play in our first half. Here's Grant Huffman. Knee-high dribble with the left hand as he leans in on Jaffe Medor at the top of the circle. Pulls it back and angles his way to left side perimeter. Dribble drive from the left side. He'll have to flip it out for Reed Bailey. Bailey restarts the possession. Now back to the basket, rises from 5 feet. As the shot clock expires, he's too strong. And Abdou Simbila pulls down the free board ahead to Elijah Gray. Elijah Gray outside left side forecourt. Finds Richardson. Richardson dribbles between the legs left to right. And finds Gray. Gray outside on the left arc. Chest pass over to Jameer Tripp, the freshman. Skip pass right side. He'll find Jaffe Medor. Medor some contact on the drive from Huffman. He'll swing it over to Tripp. Tripp is too strong on the left corner 3 there. Make him 2 of 13 on the campaign. Not his shot. Here's Huffman. Pulls the rebound down himself and pushes into the offensive set. 4.5 to play in our first half. It's 19-16. Davidson on top. Huffman with the basketball finds Bailey left side short corner. Jaffe Medor is the defender. That's a mismatch, and the dribble drive will draw the contact from Jaffe Medor. And the entire Davidson 4 besides Bailey cleared out when they got that mismatch with Jaffe Medor on the big guy.
Miles, my impression was that was a ticky-tack foul. And, of course, I don't think the head coach of the team that the foul was committed by is an unbiased source to check, but Keith Ergo really saying that was not a foul, that Medor was being hooked. And he pleaded his case so extremely so that while I was talking, the referee said, you know what, we're going to go review this one.
I believe the review that's going down is to determine if the Davidson Wildcats are in the bonus or not. So the foul has been whistled. It's about if this is number 6 or number 7. A little bit of counting confusion here in Davidson, North Carolina. One referee says head to the free throw line. One referee said far sideline inbound, so they'll go over to our scores table and count it out with the Davidson scorekeeper over there.
Well, over on the big screen here in Belk Arena, it's Fordham with 6 fouls and Davidson with 4. So The only thing I could guess is that the referee accidentally read Fordham's foul total. I'm not sure what the confusion is. I thought it was pretty clear.
Well, Fordham has committed 6 fouls here, and they're determining if it's 6 or 7 here.
Well, then it's 6 plus 1 would be 7.
Well, no, of course, Chris, but I think they're just determining if they miscounted or not.
I'm so confused by this.
But with 4:23 to play in our first half from Davidson, North Carolina, it's a 19-16 Davidson lead. And it looks like we'll have a little bit of the mesh with the media timeout, so we'll push it to our under 4, and we'll send it back to our Rose Hill studios for a scoreboard update with Ben Oppenheimer.
The one-on-one scoreboard.
A quick update on the A10 men's basketball games being played tonight. Over in Pittsburgh, Duquesne is crushing it at home versus St. Louis so far, as they've gotten out to a 35-22 lead with 4 minutes to go in the first. The Dukes' Day Grant leads all scorers with 13. Heading up north to New England, UMass continues their surprisingly strong start at home against the 9-3 VCU Rams, as the Minutemen lead 31-13 with 5.5 minutes to go in the first half. UMass is hoping for an upset win tonight that would give them an 8-6 record in conference play so far. Down south in Missouri, the winless Tigers are hanging tough with Tennessee at home, as a back-and-forth game has Missouri leading 14-13 with 7 minutes to go in the first. Moving over from the court to the rink, the New York Rangers are leading the Dallas Stars at home with 7 minutes left in the first period at MSG, 1-0. Meanwhile, over in Pittsburgh, the Islanders trail the Penguins 1-0 with 6 minutes left in the first. And the New Jersey Devils are tied with the Capitals at 1 apiece in D.C. with 6 minutes to go in the first period. With the one-on-one scoreboard, I'm Ben Oppenheimer.
So back here in Belk Arena, it's foul number 7 and a shooting foul. So 2 free throws coming for Reed Bailey, as he's no good off the back of the heel, strong there. And the Davidson lead holds at 19-16 with 4:23 to play in our first 20, as now Zach Riley will check in for the first time. Jaffe Medor heads to the bench.
Medor's got 2 fouls now in 4 minutes. 23 seconds remain in the first half of play. Riley always in Coach Ergo's back pocket if he needs some point of attack defense from a guard position.
So Bailey off the front of the iron and down. It's a 20-16 Davidson lead here at home. 4:18 to play first half. Will Richardson slow to walk it up this time. It's the waist-high dribble with the right hand. Crosses right to left. It's Grant Huffman applying the pressure. Leans in and kicks it up top for Zach Riley. Riley top of the circle. Over to Elijah Gray. Elijah Gray outside. Dribbles between the legs. Dribble drive from the left side of the arc. The righty scoop off the glass and down. And Fordham right back within just 2. It's 20-18 Wildcats.
Gray up to 7 points. Only Reed Bailey has more in this one.
Grant Huffman dumps it down low for Connor Cochera, stuck in the right corner. Cochera angles his way to the right side perimeter. Dribble drive right side on Antrell Charlton, and he's out of control with the righty finish. Off the side of the window there, and Zach Riley will now have it up top for Antrell Charlton in the offensive set. Charlton, top of the key, chest pass over to Will Richardson, left arc. Dribble drive in on Cochera. He'll find Riley now on the dish out. Riley, some pressure in left side of the lane, and he's looking to reset. He'll find Charlton. Charlton outside on the left arc. 10 seconds to shoot. Charlton pulls up from 15, and he's pure right there. Fordham knots us up at 20 apiece. 3:12 to play in our first 20.
And Charlton giving the Rams 6.7 points per game off the bench. Really scaled in the mid-range.
Huffman, little push off at the top of the circle. Zach Riley doesn't get the call. Huffman dribble drive, and he'll flip it up top. And this is going to be the backcourt. The unforced error for the point guard, Grant Huffman, as he heaves it over the head of Bobby Durkin and into the backcourt. A turnover for the veteran with 2:54 to play in the first half. It's a 20-all-tie ball game, Chris.
Yeah, Miles, Fordham tied the game, and now they have the basketball. So an opportunity right in front of them, a cubic centimeter of chance. Will they be able to reach out and grab it?
And this is a Fordham team that trailed 11-4 early. They looked like they couldn't get out of their own way offensively, but Zach Riley dribble drive right side, and it's blocked back by Sean Logan, so the Rams can't capitalize. 20 apiece here with Grant Huffman at the top of the key in the home blacks for Davidson. He'll flip it up top for Connor Cochera. Cochera back to Huffman. Left arc dribble drive past Abdou Simbila, and he'll reset on the left block now. Spins around on Zach Riley, and he rises, but he's no good with the left hand. Will Richardson surges ahead in the offensive set. And he stands now left side forecourt. 2 dribbles with the right hand, and he finds Elijah Gray. Dumps it down low for Abdu on the left block. Abdu looking to go to work on Logan. The turnaround with the right hand around and out there. 2 bounces off the rim, but no good.
Yeah, still a tie game here, Miles. Now Davidson slowing it down a bit. We'll see if Huffman can get something going. Another one of those hooks, maybe.
2:05 to play in the first half, and the pass picked off, but the foul called on the floor. Some good defensive pressure as Bobby Durkin on the right arc looking for the low post pass, and Elijah Gray too aggressive as he picked it off. This will be the foul on the floor here, and it looks like Reed Bailey will be the one headed back to the free throw line with the single bonus situation for the Wildcats at home. It's 20-all, 2:04 to play in the first half.
And that's Elijah Gray's second foul, Miles, so he heads to the bench while Reed Bailey heads to the free throw line. Mind you, Bailey has taken a whole lot of free throws already tonight, and we've discussed that as one of the points to hit on in this game over and over again, but it just keeps representing itself. Bailey at the charity stripe, 2 shots coming up.
And Bailey, who had his career high last time he played the Fordham Rams with 24, has proven to be quite the Ram killer as he's nothing but net on the first of 2 free throws, making a 21-20 Davidson lead now. And Reed Bailey, a Ram killer once again this evening, Chris.
Yeah, and you know, he's up to 9 points, and you assume this free throw will go in, so that's 10.
Once again, not an ounce of rim there, and it's a 22-20 Davidson advantage. 2 minutes flat to play in our first 20. Will Richardson in the road grays to walk it up, moving left to right now. Richardson angles his way to the right side forecourt, hands out for the curling Zach Riley. Flips it up top for Antrell Charlton. Charlton over to Yole Akuovo. Akuovo just checked in this ballgame. He'll find Charlton. Right arc, dribbles between the legs, and he'll pull it back. Richardson, lefty slot now, dribbles between the legs. On Huffman, dribble drive, splits 2 defenders and gets the righty lay to go. It's a 22-all tie.
Miles, that possession was done for Fordham. It was a bad shot with 3 seconds to go over 2 defenders, and then Will Richardson hung in the air and made it wide open.
And Will Richardson blocks the top of the key 3, but they'll keep it right here. Here's Cochera. Outside on the left arc, looks to go to work on Antrell Charlton. Back to the basket. Left side short corner. 10 seconds to shoot. Here's Connor Cochera. He'll find Reed Bailey on the bounce pass. Left side short corner once again. Bailey, dribble drive to the heart of the lane, and he draws contact from Yole Akuovo. So 2 more free throws for Reed Bailey. And Chris, he's already got a game-high 11 points in our first half with an opportunity for 2 more at the charity stripe. 106 first half. It's a 22-all tie.
The foul on Yole Akuovo. So the big man down low commits the harm on Bailey. The referees say he got him while he was going up with the shot.
So Bailey finally looks a bit human here as he's no good off the front of the iron. The game will stay tied at 22-all. $1:06 to play in the first 20.
That's Bailey's 3rd free throw miss of the game. That's your hope if you're Fordham, is that he won't capitalize on the opportunities. You know he'll continue to get them.
So 1 of 2 trip there for Bailey, 23-22. The Davidson lead with 1:04 seconds to play in our first half. Here's Antrell Charlton, the point guard this possession, to walk it up on Cochera. Stuck on the left arc. He'll find Josh Rivera. Rivera, left corner, dribble drive, and he rises with 2 hands, and he's no good. Who had the last touch going for the rebound? They'll say Bobby Durkin and co. had it, so Yole Akuovo able to avoid the last touch. It'll stay here with the Fordham Rams. 14 seconds to shoot.
And Miles, it's Will Richardson and Riley, the 2 3-point shooters on the court. We got Charlton out there too, but he's inbounding.
49 seconds first half. Antrell Charlton, the trigger man. He'll find Zach Riley stuck in the left corner. 47 seconds first half. 10 seconds to shoot. Here's Will Richardson over to Charlton on the right side of the perimeter. Crosses in on Cochera. Pulls it back from 15, and he's got it once again. The Antrell Charlton mid-range falls. It's a 24-23 Fordham lead.
Yeah, he's looking like a starter right now, Miles. Drilling mid-range jumpers right in the hands and faces of his defender. There's nothing they can do except for be just part of the highlight.
About a 2-second differential between the shot clock and the game clock. 15 seconds to shoot here for Grant Huffman at the top of the key. It's 24-23. Fordham on top. Huffman, top of the circle, angles his way to the left side of the perimeter. Dribble drive in on the A10 logo. Some good harassment from Antrell Charlton. He'll find Reed Bailey. 3 seconds to shoot, and that's the shot clock violation there. Reed Bailey didn't see. And now the Fordham Rams will whistle for the timeout. And with 1.8 seconds minutes. The Fordham Rams will have the final shot in the first half. They got the lead 24-23.
Use it or lose it, Miles. Keith Ergo's mindset on that last timeout. And you see the Fordham Rams talking things over. I think this is mostly just an opportunity for the men in gray to regain their breath, give their lungs some rest. Now, when it comes to these final 1.8 seconds, what exactly are they going to do? Well, I'll tell you, they ran a drill at practice today. 2 seconds on the clock, half-court shot goes up. How far can you get? Are you aware of how much time is on the clock? Can you get the shot up from as close as possible? And the first Ram to make it, the hometown kid, Elijah Gray.
And if you weren't going to say it, Chris, I was about to say it. Chris, do you remember who ended up making that half-court shot? Exactly right. It was Elijah Gray. And now, born and raised in Charlotte, North Carolina, just about 30 minutes north of his hometown, be a nice way to finish off the first 20.
Well, he's going to be coming off the pine for these final 1.8 seconds.
Won't have the opportunity here, huh?
You think Antrell Charlton will get the ball and shoot it? He's probably the first option. Josh Rivera, his strong arm is probably the second.
It's the full court heave situation. Kyle Rose into the offensive set for Josh Rivera. Rivera rises and he can't come down with it. An almost dangerous pass there as Josh Rivera went horizontal in the air, looking to catch the baseball pass out of Kyle Rose, but they come up empty to wrap up the half. But the Rams do go into the break with a lead, 24-23 on the road. And Chris, what a comeback in the second half of that first half. They trailed 11-4 at the under 16 media timeout, but you wouldn't know based on our halftime score.
Yeah, Miles, I think Kyle Rose saw McCole Hardman open down there, had to launch the pass, but the Super Bowl was 2 weeks ago. The thing is, today, it's this A-10 conference action. The Rams and the Wildcats basically tied at halftime. You couldn't ask for a better first half as an A-10 basketball fan. And if you're a fan of either of the two teams playing here today, you're probably very nervous right now. A close affair, but you wouldn't have it any other way as a lover of the game. And let's talk about what's making it so close. You take a look at the Fordham Rams. Both teams rebounding the ball well, but where Fordham has an advantage, to me, is the bench points. They're getting way more scoring from their second unit, and that's thanks to Antrell Charlton coming out and making a difference, making those mid-range jumpers and facilitating. When Medor's on the bench, it's Charlton and Richardson manning the backcourt.
Absolutely right, Chris. A good offensive start for the Fordham Rams in the latter half of that first half, but a defensive slugfest overall. Fordham on top, 24-23. And Chris, get this, out of those 23 points of the Davidson Wildcats, the number one Ram killer, Reed Bailey, has 12 of them, in the first 20 minutes. But it's the Reed Bailey show once again, as it was when these two met back in January. But the Fordham lead 24-23 at the break. And with that, we'll send it back to our Rose Hill studios in the Bronx for the halftime show with Brian Rabacs and Ben Oppenheimer.
The one-on-one halftime report.
Thank you, Miles, and we welcome you into the Rose Hill studios for the one-on-one halftime report. Fordham leading Davidson 24-23 at the halfway mark. I'm Brian Rabacs, joined by Ben Oppenheimer. Ben, the Rams got out to a really slow start in this one, and things were looking dicey early on. You're looking at the score. They're struggling to get on the scoreboard early, shut out for a while, trailing 11-2 at one point. The game could have gotten away from them within the first couple of minutes, but credit to them, they've really battled back, and now, against all odds, they entered the halftime locker room with a lead.
Absolutely, Brian. I mean, you look at where they were at the 16 timeout, media timeout, I believe. And Miles mentioned this on the broadcast before they sent it back to us. Fordham was down 11-4 with 16 minutes to go. That's a pretty poor start offensively as well as defensively. And the fact that they are now leading 24-23, even though it is a low-scoring game, it's not a pretty game to watch. Fordham shooting 40% overall from the field, 2 for 11 from 3, which is 18% from beyond the arc. That's not pretty basketball. But at the same time, you have to give them credit for coming back from being down 11-4 and then just turning on a different switch, so to speak. And now they have the lead heading into the second. probably one of the lowest scoring games I've ever seen.
Yeah,
for
this has
team.
been a low-scoring basketball game. You're looking at 24-23 at the half. I mean, these are two teams that have struggled offensively this year. Davidson ranking 14th in the A10 in scoring, and Fordham within that same range. They've struggled to shoot the three ball, like you've mentioned, 2-11. That's also been an area of struggle this year for the Rams. But looking at a Davidson team, I mean, this is the kind of defensive performance that Fordham kind of needed out of the gate, where you're looking at a team that really can't seem to find a way to get to the basket, and they're looking for ways. They're looking to try to get the ball in Grant Huffman's hands, but he only has 2 points at half. So overall, Fordham, you'd like to see them clean it up offensively more, but against a team that is near the bottom of the A10 in terms of scoring and efficiency, the defense is doing what they can to keep them in this game.
Credit to Fordham for shutting down Huffman so far in the first. But that storyline could change in the second, Brian. You know basketball, things can change in a New York minute, so to speak, which is basically like 5 seconds. And also, I would watch out for Bailey in the second half. He's got 12 points right now. He leads all scorers on both teams. And then also add in Cochera as well. He's got 7, shooting 3 for 5 from the field. And one thing that's been a reoccurring theme in this season for Fordham men's basketball is keeping up with the teams that they're playing to their talent level, like we're seeing in this game, like we saw versus Dayton, at Dayton, where it was close until very late, or even in some of the wins that we saw where it was against Bonaventure. But at the same time, many of these close games with good quality teams, they've gotten away from them in the last few minutes. And so it's kind of, I think this season, the cautionary tale has been, it's been like the Geico commercial where the guy is dangling the piece of cash.
You gotta be
like,
quicker than
yeah,
that.
Yes.
Yeah,
You completed my line for me, Brian.
Of course.
But I would say in the second, Fordham has to reverse the narrative. They have to make the defense quicker than that, so to speak. And that, I mean, Davidson and their offensive potency that could come alive in the second, they have to make sure they don't get too hot, especially from beyond the arc, because that's really where it kills you, a bunch of threes like that. And so try to change the narrative as we're heading deeper into A10 play, as we're finishing up the season almost. It's crazy to say that. I'd like to see them successfully play 40 minutes of basketball and see if they can seal this momentum, continue it into the second.
It's what you're going to need, and you look at Fordham in these close road games, like you were saying. You mentioned the one against Dayton this past weekend, but Fordham's been involved in a lot of these tight road games, and overall, they play well on the road, and they've done well against teams that maybe we're saying they should be able to be, like, not necessarily the cream of the crop of the A10 necessarily, but they even do play well against those teams, at least not in their own building. It just, that's how it's worked this year. But you look at, games against Davidson now, and then George Washington earlier in the year, St. Louis, like, they've done well in these road environments against teams that kind of have struggled similar to how Fordham has this year. And with Davidson, it's still another tight game, but Fordham has been in these situations before. So a lot of the road game and the adversity that they've faced this year has kind of put themselves up to the test here in this game, and where they're leading by 1 at halftime. I think we're in for another tight finish here. Now, looking on the Fordham side, it hasn't been pretty for the most part. I mean, look at 40% field goal percentage, 18%, 2 of 11 from 3. That's certainly something that they'd like to clean up. But overall, Elijah Gray, we were talking about this during the break, kind of a homecoming for him. He was born in Charlotte, North Carolina. He's from there, and now this is, Davidson's not too far away from that area. So it's almost like a homecoming for him, and he leads Fordham in scoring. So credit to him. He's been doing a nice job in kind of a more comfortable environment for him, would you say?
He looks really comfortable right now, and it's continuing the trend that I've been seeing since this past summer, coming into his sophomore year. He's really developing as an all-around player that can not only be a defensive and offensive presence down low in the paint, but also able to hit an occasional three here or there, which is so important in today's modern day basketball to be able to be a Swiss Army knife, so to speak. And so credit, as you said, Brian, credit to Elijah Gray. It's like LeBron's homecoming to Cleveland. Well, maybe not exactly that grand, but he's definitely having a strong start in this first half. Hopefully he continues that in the second. But also, one last thing I'll mention is the bench points. Kris mentioned it on the call. Fordham has outscored Davidson 10-0 in terms of points off the bench. That's one of the biggest things that pops out to me looking at this stat line in this first half. So if they can continue that support from off the bench, but also the starters really start to get hot, things could happen in a positive way for this Fordham Rams basketball team.
Well, let's talk about this second half of action, and we'll get you back to Davidson with Miles Grossman and Kris Pursiainen in a matter of minutes. But when you look at this Davidson team and think about, okay, what went right for them last time when they faced Fordham at Rose Hill in January? Grant Huffman, Reed Bailey, and Connor Kuchera, they all had very good games, 24, 24, and 18 respectively. But tonight, you have Bailey having a nice start with 12 points, but outside of that, Kuchera and Huffman have really just not been able to really be at that same level as they were. Huffman especially only at 2 points at the half. So I think Fordham's done a really nice job of game planning for their top 3 scorers, especially Huffman, their leading scorer of the year, and doing a nice job of limiting them offensively. But in the second half of action, all that's going to have to continue. They've done a really nice job keeping Davidson off the scoreboard and limiting their top scorers, but it's got to be a full effort, like you said, for 40 minutes, and that's going to have to continue the whole way through the second half of action.
Yeah, you can't play a good 20 minutes or a good 30 minutes of basketball, Brian. You got to play the whole game. In the words of Kevin Garnett, it's not over till it's over. And so if this game comes down to the wire, it's going to be another formative moment for a lot of these young players. Richardson, Gray, Dean, all these guys, they're looking to prove themselves in clutch moments, especially on the road. And I will mention that last year, Brian, in the 22-23 season at Davidson, that was also a very close game. I remember watching that game, and it's a fun rivalry to watch between these two teams. It seems like kind of like a pseudo rivalry, so to speak.
Well, Fordham, they really need to get back in the win column. They're on a 3-game losing streak right now, and this is kind of one of those games that you're really eyeing on the schedule and think that you got to have this one, because your next couple of games are against Duquesne and George Mason. They know what those teams are like. They're certainly not going to be just a walkover game, and neither is this. Fordham really getting a challenge against Davidson, but we'll have to wait and see what happens in the second half of action. Fordham leads 24-23 at halftime. Ben and I will be back for post-game analysis after the next 20 minutes, but for now, let's take a short break, and afterwards we'll get you back to Davidson for the second half of action between Fordham and Davidson with Miles Grossman and Kris Pursiainen.
Hi, this is Mike Breen, WFUV class of 1983. WFUV is the flagship station of Fordham Athletics with live coverage of Fordham football, Fordham men's and women's basketball, in addition to Saturday one-on-one. Stay right here on 90.7 FM for all things WFUV sports.
And welcome back inside Belk Arena here on the campus of Davidson College. It's a 24-23 Fordham advantage at the half. I'm Miles Grossman alongside Kris Pursiainen. So glad you could join us for the second half of action here on WFUV Sports. And Kris, this is Fordham basketball. It might not be pretty. The shots haven't fallen, but the defense has locked up some of the key players at Davidson, and this is the brand that Ergo's known for.
Well, Miles, you go on a 17-5 run to close out the first half. I think any program would say that that's their brand of basketball, but for Fordham, the 24-23 score at halftime is very self-explanatory. We're not knocking down a lot of shots, but we're not going to make it easy for you to do that either. You look at someone like Kyle Rose, who's been such a burgeoning star for the Rams this year, always a reliable 3-and-D guy this season, tasked with being one of the lead sources of scoring for Fordham. Well, he's got 0 points at halftime on 0 for 3 shooting, all 3 shots having come from beyond the arc, but it's been Elijah Gray stepping up, and Charlton from the mid-range, and Ramad Dean, also a starter like Gray nowadays, doing real nicely in the scoring department for Fordham with 5 in this low-scoring game. Remember, 5 points doesn't seem like a whole lot until you divide it by 23 and realize it's about a fourth of what they've got going on.
Absolutely, and especially on the defensive end, the job has been awfully impressive. I mean, Grant Huffman, last time he faced these Fordham Rams, he came to Rose Hill and dropped a career-high 24 points. And when I ran into Keith Urgo today in the elevator, before I even had the chance to ask him about anything, he brought up Grant Huffman and just how much he respects the game of Grant Huffman. 24 last time he saw Urgo. Well, the Fordham Rams have held him relatively silent so far through 20 minutes. He's just got 2 points, and it's an interesting situation for Grant Huffman. He's a senior, but because of COVID, he's got a 5th year of eligibility that he cannot take here as a Davidson Wildcat. Davidson does not have any graduate program, so it'll be interesting. Grant Huffman forced into the transfer portal, and Keith Urgo had to joke he's the exact guy Fordham would love to get next year.
Well, Miles, of course, just a joke. It's a little early in the campaign for any of that kind of talk, but when you're Fordham, you've got to focus on going out and making yourself an attractive destination for those kind of players. How do you do that? Well, it's all about establishing a foundation, making sure that players can look at your school and see a system that's greater than the sum of its parts, that they can say, hey, if I add myself into this equation, the function will send me out with an even greater value than I came in with. And that's something that you can only develop culturally when your guys, no matter how talented, are all bought in, and that's something Coach Urgo has talked to us about all season, getting that buy-in.
Absolutely, and in the case of Grant Huffman, he's a player who's going to get so much attention from bigger programs than Fordham. So, of course, that'll be tough for Fordham to land a talent like that. But we're back underway in half number 2 from Davidson, North Carolina. The identical starting 5 out there for the Fordham Rams. Here's Jaffe Medor, kicks it high post for Kyle Rose. Rose crosses over right to left on the A10 logo. Rose stuck on the left elbow. He'll find Will Richardson. Richardson at the top of the key now. Just 13 seconds to shoot. Dribble drive the right side. He'll flip it up top, and it's poked out of play. It'll stay right here with the Fordham Rams. Out of bounds on the near sideline. 9 seconds to shoot, but Davidson keeping up that defensive pressure.
Yeah, a lot of east to west, not enough north to south, Miles.
And Elijah Gray, the near sideline inbound. He'll find Will Richardson, left dark 3, and he cans it right out the half. It's a 27-23 Fordham lead.
That extends Fordham's run going back to last half to 20-5.
19-22 and ticking second half. Bobby Durkin, mid-range, left side, pulls it back, no good. Off the left side of the iron, Ramad Dean clears the Fordham board. Ahead to Jaffe Medor, a burst of speed in the offensive half, looking down low for Dean. Right corner, it's Kyle Rose, and back-to-back triples. 23-30 now. Davidson trails by 7.
23-5, the Fordham run now. 2 triples coming out of the half.
Bailey, top of the key 3, looking for the answer. No good. Short off the iron, and another Ramad Dean rebound. Ahead to Medor. It's 30-23. Fordham on top. Elijah Gray, center of the post, shoulders his way in, and he's no good, but he taps it out of bounds with last touch. Ramad Dean going for the rebound, they'll say. So going back Davidson's way. But as Elijah Gray muscling his way in and just lost control in on Reed Bailey.
Yeah, both head coaches red in the face arguing their side of that one, but that's Davidson Wildcats basketball. Whole lot of kerfuffle going on underneath the rim, but the referees saw clearly through it, and I think we had a good angle here from the sideline, too.
And a 6-0 start for Fordham in the second half. It's 30-23. Rams lead on the road. Here's Grant Huffman. Top of the circle, cuts into the right elbow, and he'll have to restart. He finds Cochera. Cochera, 14 seconds to shoot. He'll bounce it down low. Reed Bailey, the left side dribble drive, and he's no good. Too strong on the reverse lay off the back of the window. And Jaffe Medor will clear the board himself and push it up top. Here's Elijah Gray, and Elijah Gray, indecision at the top of the key, faked the three, took a step, and tried to pass, but he will be whistled for the travel. So with 18-13 to play in regulation, it's going back the Wildcats' way. Fordham on top, 30-23.
And look at the pressure from Jaffe Medor on Huffman. They want to shut him down and cut off the head of the snake.
And Huffman still awfully slow today. Huffman, right side dribble drive, rises with the right hand, and he banks it in. A tough finish through Jaffe Medor, and Davidson within 5 now, 30-25. 17:53 and ticking. It's Jaffe Medor, content to waste some clock here at the top of the circle. Angles his way to left side of the perimeter. Chest pass up top for Kyle Rose. Rose, dribble drive, and he spins around and loses control. Regains and outlets it back to Will Richardson. Richardson over to Elijah Gray. The step back jumper off the right side of the iron. And no good as Reed Bailey, the free board. Bailey up top for Grant Huffman. Now 17:30 to play in the second half. Pardon me. Bobby Durkin, left side triple, no good. Strong off the right side of the iron, and a Dean rebound. Dean ahead to Medor. Medor over to Kyle Rose. Dribble drive on the left side. He flips it over. It's Gray now. Gray now will slow down the possession with 17 to shoot. He flips it up top. It's Ramad Dean. Dean over to Medor. Medor takes a peek at the clock with 10 seconds to shoot now. Medor angles his way, left elbow jumper, pulls it back, no good. Off the right side of the iron, but Ramad Dean, another offensive rebound. He'll get it to Elijah Gray, and he'll muscle his way off the window and in. A left block finish and a 7-point advantage for the Fordham Rams.
Yeah, and auspicious timing. Miles Davidson was just starting to get a little bit of momentum.
Huffman burst to speed. He'll kick it out for Bobby Durkin. Right side perimeter. Here's the lengthy shooter Durkin. Over to Bailey. He'll find Cochera. Cochera, right corner, fake the three. He'll dribble drive in on Medor. Flip it out of play. And they'll say last touch, Jaffe Medor. So staying right here with the Davidson Wildcats. 16-26 to play in regulation. And the Fordham Rams once again land the first punch in the second half.
Quick sub there is Dean to the bench, Rivera in. But I want to talk about Bobby Durkin, the freshman for Davidson, averaging 9.2 points a game, 0 of 2 tonight. Fordham shutting him down again, just like they did in their last matchup.
Here's Sean Logan, the sophomore big, hands off for Huffman. Lefty slide, dribble drive for Huffman, and the floater falls. The right-handed floater at a Grant Huffman, and that's a pretty look. It's 32-27, Davidson within 5.
Huffman up to 4 points, uncharacteristically low scoring performance, but his teammates carrying the weight.
Here's Elijah Gray on the right elbow, back to the basket. He'll flip it out for Richardson. Richardson, right arc three off the front of the iron, well short there. And Angelo Brizzi rips down the rebound. Brizzi burst of speed in the offensive half, spins around on the A-10 and gets the floater to fall. Angelo Brizzi, an and-one opportunity. And Davidson right back within 3 points.
Yeah, it was always close, Miles, but you thought Fordham was starting to inch away just a little bit, shot by shot, stop by stop, but now the Wildcats right there, they're playing that same tune. They've got the rhythm of the game, and they're right in it.
So with 15:52 to play in regulation, it's a 32-29 Fordham lead here on the road. Just one shot coming off the and one for Angelo Brizzi on the other side of the timeout. You're listening to Fordham men's basketball on WFUV Sports.
Hey everyone, Brian Rabacs here, one of your New York Yankees beat reporters for WFUV Sports. Along with Lou Orlando and Will Talent, we've got you covered for live game coverage, post-game analysis, season updates, and just about everything you need to know about the Bronx Bombers. You can follow me on Twitter at Brian Rabacs and subscribe to our YouTube channel for special Yankee feature reports all season long.
(32-29), Fordham the lead here with 15:52 to play in regulation. Live from Davidson, North Carolina, I'm Miles Grossman alongside Kris Pursiainen. Kris, early in this one, the Fordham Rams just couldn't get a shot to fall, but in the last 15 minutes, it's been an absolutely different story. They've been an offensive ball club, and it all starts with a three-point shot.
Well, Miles, it was 24-23 at the half. Now it's 32-29, so obviously a little more scoring on pace here in the second
Both
half,
sides.
but it's still just about the same margin it was before. 2 points. What's the difference? Just a basket, right? So for Davidson, doing a good job hanging around. Even though Fordham has the lead on the scoreboard, they're not letting that affect their effort. They're fighting in this one, and that's all you can ask, especially from a home team. Now, for the road Rams and their cool gray alternates, it's a different story, Miles, because you take a look at the stat sheet, they're 13 of 31 from the field. That's 41.9%. That's honestly not too bad. That's about where they shoot for the season. But free throws, they've only taken 2 tonight, and the Davidson Wildcats are 8 for 12, so the Rams need to be aggressive. They need to get to the free throw line.
And that's been a problem for the Fordham Rams all year, Chris, is that even when they manage to keep their opponent to a relatively small free throw number, they can't seem to get to the line themselves.
It slows the game down and tax points on the board, just like Angelo Brizzi did right there.
So Brizzi wraps up the old-fashioned three-point play. It's a 32-30 Fordham lead with the basketball. 15:48 to play here from Davidson, North Carolina. Antrell Charlton, the man at the top of the circle. He'll flip it into the hands of Abdou Simbila. The handoff back to Charlton. Charlton bounce pass into the hands of Rivera. Left side, the left block dribble drive for Rivera, and the turnaround with the right hand. Too strong in and out, but Abdou Simbila the second time. He'll draw contact off the heel once again, but 2 free throws coming. And it's Abdou Simbila. 4th foul drawn of the contest. That's that good old-fashioned Simbila ball.
Well, there you go, Miles. The fouls drawn stat, paramount today for Simbila. It's so important to Fordham to have your big man down low wreaking havoc, especially when you don't have a lot of perimeter players that can cut inside and slash and punish teams with their physicality.
Simbila already 2 of 2 from the charity stripe today. Faces a pretty active Davidson student section. He's no good off the back of the heel, and that'll get the student section riled up just a tad. It's a 32-30 Fordham advantage with 15.5 to play in the second half. So Simbila facing the student section in all black. As you said, Chris, it's blackout day as he's no good. Strong off the heel, and the rebound ripped free by Hunter Adam. Hunter Adam ahead to Brizzi. Brizzi a burst of speed. He'll kick it over to Grant Huffman outside on the right perimeter. Huffman hesitates top of the circle. Jaffe Medora the pressure. Dribble drive. Heart of the key, and he rises, and he'll draw the contact. This one will be on Jaffe Medora himself. So 2 free throws coming once again for Davidson, and only a 2-point lead for the Fordham Rams.
Medora 3 fouls now, Miles, so something to watch. And Keith Ergo might call a guard up to the scorer's table in a couple minutes. You can imagine he's not happy, and now his conversation with Medora on the sideline confirms that, as does the fact that Will Richardson's checking into the ball game. So 2 for 2 from me there. Not happy with Medora, sending a guard into the game. Now you're 5 for the Rams. Richardson, Riley, Charlton, Rivera, Simbila.
So Grant Huffman good on the first of 2 free throws. Will Richardson's checks in for Jaffe Medora. As you said, Chris, deeply bends the knees, and a 2-2 trip there for the senior guard Grant Huffman. It's a 32-all ball game with 15:10 to play, and Will Richardson now will walk it up. Richardson angles his way to the right of the perimeter. He finds Charlton. Charlton to Riley. Top of the circle, back to Abdou Simbila, right side of the perimeter. Moving it around the arc, he'll find Will Richardson. Richardson, left corner, it's Josh Rivera. Back to Richardson, that motion offense. It's Charlton. Right side of the perimeter now. 9 seconds to shoot. Dribble drive for Antrell Charlton. Right side. He'll kick it back up top. He'll find Zach Riley. 3 seconds to shoot. Zach Riley fakes the jumper now. Pulls it, and he got it. As the shot clock expires, and our referee says we'll review it at the next whistle.
And that whistle's now.
He's going to stop the game to review it, which is something you do not usually see, Chris. But with 14:41, they'll head to the monitor and check out if this is a made basket. And Chris, this is a rare sight. Usually you'll have your referee wave over to the scorer on the far side and say, hey, we'll check if that falls at the next stoppage. But they're stopping this game entirely with 14:41 to play to check if the Will Richardson deuce counts, or Zach Riley deuce counts.
You know, maybe, I'm not sure if you're allowed to have, like, human input on the situation, but in such a close game, maybe they want to check right away, see if it affects how the teams play. I mean, both coaches with 3 timeouts left. It's not like either of them called it.
And they say the made basket does count. So 34-32 is the Fordham lead.
The home fans are thrilled, as you can guess.
So Zach Riley into the box score with a pretty deuce as the shot clock expires, and it's Davidson basketball now with the full court pressure out of the Fordham Rams in their road grays. Here's Angelo Brizzi, burst of speed, splits two defenders, rises, and he's out of control. Looking to draw the contact on the lay, and he can't. And Zach Riley the rebound, and another burst of speed moving right to left for the Fordham Rams in their road grays. He finds Charlton outside on the left perimeter. It'll be Abdou Simbila now. Simbila over to Zach Riley, and Zach Riley dragged the pivot. Follows up a made bucket with a turnover, and it's going right back Davidson's way. It's a 34-42 Fordham lead, 14-16 second half.
34-32, it's a close one, Miles. You take a look at Davidson now facing the full court press from Fordham. These teams starting to get just a little tired, you can tell.
14:05 to play. Here's Grant Huffman, top of the circle. He'll find Connor Cochera. Cochera back to Huffman. Huffman right slot, chest pass. Back to Cochera, playing a little two-man game. Here's Huffman, right arc three, no good. Much too strong off the left side of the iron. And Riley, the rebound into the hands of Antrell Charlton. 34-32, the Fordham advantage. Here's Josh Rivera, right corner three, and he's wide open, and he nails it. 37-32, Fordham back up a pair of possessions.
And Rivera is good to make one out of every 4 threes, Miles, so that an auspicious outcome for the Rams.
13.5 to play. It's a 37-32 Fordham lead in a low-scoring affair here from Davidson, North Carolina. Connor Cochera kicks out for Hunter Adam. Up top now for Angelo Brizzi on the swing pass. Brizzi, 8 seconds to shoot as he realizes dribble drive in on Will Richardson, and the righty scoop play off the window and down, and Davidson back within 3. It's 37-34 Rams, 13 flat to play.
Richardson defended that just about as well as you could have, but Brizzi really skilled inside. He's small, diminutive in stature, but good skill there and good hand-eye coordination.
Fordham a three-point lead and the ball. Here's Richardson, top of the key. Kicks over to Zach Riley, right arc dribble drive. Zach Riley, the scoop. No good. Too strong off the right side of the iron, but Abdou Simbila going back up and drawing contact. This one will be on Grant Huffman. So Abdou Simbila up to 5 fouls drawn on the day as he will trot back to the free throw line. It's a 37-34 Fordham advantage. 2 free throws coming.
And that's going to be Huffman's first foul of the contest, so nothing to worry about for the Davidson faithful, but definitely something to look at in terms of Simbila here. Once again, a trip to the free throw line because of his physicality down low, but also once again facing a raucous fan section that's making this free throw seem not so free.
And he was 0 of 2 last time facing this student section, but he's nothing but net on the first of 2. Making a 38-34 Ram advantage here with 12:45 to play from the campus of Davidson College. Simbila, the righty free throw, not much bend at the knees, and that's a beauty right there. Making a 39-34 advantage, 12:45 to play in regulation. Here's Brizzi, chest pass over to Grant Huffman. Huffman across the timeline, far side forecourt. Back to Angelo Brizzi, fakes the right corner three and finds Hunter Adam. Hunter Adam back to Angelo Brizzi, top of the key, triple and right in rhythm for Angelo Brizzi. Davidson within a pair now, 39-37 Rams.
Brizzi shooting 20% from 3 this season, so that a really big make both for him and the Wildcats.
12:15 second half. It's 39-37. The Rams the lead in the ball. Here's Josh Rivera, left side dribble drive, and he rises, and he can't get the one-hand slam to fall. Grant Huffman corrals the loose ball and pushes into the offensive hat. Here Huffman looking to do it all himself, and he gets it to go. Off the window and in. It's a 39-all ball game.
Yeah, tied game, Miles, and the Davidson faithful all into this one now. Fans on their feet applauding vociferously as the Rams try to set something up.
11:45 and ticking. It's 39-all. Here's Antrell Charlton, top of the circle, splits 2 defenders, kicks it out. Left corner, Will Richardson, 3, no good. Off the heel, Josh Rivera going for the rebound into the hands of Zach Riley, and Zach Riley is standing out of bounds. So that'll be going back to Davidson's way. It's a 39-39 tie with 11:33 to play.
Yeah, chaotic game here. Back and forth now, Miles, as Davidson mounts a comeback in front of their home crowd. Really playing a factor tonight, I would say. they're raucous, they're loud, they're passionate. We saw before the game, the band had a sheet for LaSalle with certain chants and jeers to yell at players. You have to assume they had the same for Fordham. Abdou Tsimbile hearing all sorts of customized, personalized insults at his free throw trip, maybe conducive to the 0 of 2 trip at the start. But 2 of 2 the second time helped make this a tie game.
So a 39-39 tie here from Davidson, North Carolina. 11.5 minutes to play. But with that, we'll send it back to our Rose Hill studios for a scoreboard update with Ben Oppenheimer.
The one-on-one scoreboard.
Circling back to A10 men's basketball, Duquesne continues their very strong play at home versus St. Louis as the Dukes lead 62-39 with 13.5 minutes to go in the second. Duquesne's Day Grant has accumulated 24 points so far on the evening. And in Amherst, the Minutemen continue their strong play as they come out at halftime, as they lead 48-36 with 13 minutes to go. Josh Cohen of UMass leads all scorers with 16. In a top 25 matchup down in Missouri, a potential upset is forming as the Tigers are hoping to finally grab that elusive win in SEC play. Missouri is hanging on versus number 5 Tennessee with a 40-33 lead with 16 minutes left. The Tigers' Sean East II leads all scorers with 17. And taking a look at what's happening on the ice in the NHL, the New Jersey Devils trail 2-1 in DC versus the Capitals with 12 minutes to go in the second period. And at MSG, the Rangers continue to hold their 1-0 lead with 13 minutes left in the second. For the Islanders in Pittsburgh, they have now gained a 2-1 lead over the Penguins with 13 minutes left in the second period. With the one-on-one scoreboard, I'm Ben Oppenheimer.
And back here inside Belk Arena, it's a 39-39 tie. I'm Miles Grossman alongside Kris Pursiainen between your Fordham Rams and the Davidson Wildcats. And the Fordham Rams, 9 different names into the box score, Kris. A real offense by committee, but where I want to start is Reed Bailey. 12 points at the break, well, 12 points right now. The Fordham Rams made the halftime adjustment.
Yeah, and he had 12 points just at the free throw line last time he played the Rams. So this time, getting back to that free throw line, you see he's 8 of 12 from there tonight, just as many as he took last time, already with 11.5 minutes to go in the second half.
Here's the full court pressure for the Fordham Rams. Angelo Brizzi to cross the timeline, right side of the court. They'll flip it into the hands of Grant Huffman. Huffman back to Brizzi, right slot. Chest pass over to Huffman once again, top of the key. He'll get it over to Angelo Brizzi. Fake the three, dribble drive in on Antrell Charlton. Loses the ball, and last touch, Antrell Charlton on the baseline. So it stays right here with the Davidson Wildcats. 11 seconds to shoot. 39-39 is the score.
Miles, just a couple seconds on that shot clock, 11 to be exact. So Davidson going to have to get into an action quickly.
Cochera flips into the hands of Bailey. Bailey, part of the paint, rises on Ramad Dean on the left block. No good. Strong there, and Elijah Gray, the strong side rebound. Chest pass into the hands of Medor, and the foul on the floor. Ramad Dean got tangled up with Angelo Brizzi, and you could tell by the look on his face. He looked at the referee like, "You're not calling that on me, are you?"
Huffman.
And the foul was on the Davidson Wildcats.
I pride myself as a lip reader, Miles. He said, "How is that on me?" to the referee. So he wasn't acknowledging that he wasn't saying there was no foul. He just said it definitely wasn't on him.
11:05 to play in our second half. The Fordham Rams the lead, but Jaffe Medor has his packs picked off coming out of the inbounds play, and Connor Cochera picks it off and pushes into the offensive set himself. Here's Reed Bailey looking down low for the cutter, and Adam Hunter. The reverse finish there, and a 41-39 Davidson lead. 10:50 to play, and Hunter Adam gets the bucket.
Yeah, he was a little feisty after the bucket. Ball got caught up between him and Ramad Dean, went to the ground, and then Adam kicked it away. So Fordham Rams just inbounded the ball.
41-39, the Davidson lead here at home. It's Antrell Charlton in the road grays at the top of the circle. Angles over to Ramad Dean on the left arc. He'll kick it up for Elijah Gray. Elijah Gray dribble drive from the top. Loses the dribble and regains right side short corner. Picks up his dribble and dumps it down low now for Ramad Dean. Dean, center of the paint. He rises and it's blocked back by Angelo Brizzi. Dean and Brizzi going at it now with Connor Cochera to push up with the rock. Chest pass over to Brizzy outside looking down low for the cutter, and Connor Cochera wide open under the basket, and Keith Ergo needs the timeout. A defensive lap for the Fordham Rams and a 43-39 Davidson lead.
They've still got some momentum, Miles. The Rams in an okay rhythm at this point, but Ergo really upset with Mador after that stretch. Had some choice words for him over there on the sideline. Typically, Ergo goes and talks to his, the top brass of the coaching staff before addressing the team. That time he beelined it for Mador, yelled at him before making it over to the coaches. Clear that Ergo feels the team wasn't executing the way they were supposed to out there, but you also have to take a look at the other side. Davidson making shots tonight where it kind of doesn't matter what Fordham's doing. The scheme, to me, dictates how the game is going to go, and it's all on the players to execute, but we know Davidson has so many different players that can hurt you. They have 3 guys averaging double digits in the scoring column. A lot of games they have 4 guys finish in double digits, and that's the danger of Davidson. They're a pick your poison kind of team. It leads to a lot of teams leaving Durkin open. Fordham shuts Durkin down, so it comes down to the lead guys, Huffman and Bailey.
So 43-39 is the Davidson College lead over your Fordham Rams. 10-11 to play here in our second half. And taking a look at those first half versus second half numbers is pretty unbelievable. Fordham, the lead at the break, 24-23 in an amazingly low-scoring affair. And now just halfway through the second half, they've nearly matched their first half totals. It's 20-15. Davidson the lead in our second period.
Fordham ended that first half on a 17-5 run. They started the second half on a 6-0 run. And now all of a sudden, you see the momentum swinging the other way. Of course, basketball, inherently a game of runs, is going to be back and forth. But what stands out to me here in the Belk Arena in Davidson, North Carolina, is the speed at which it's happening. It feels like there's never a team crawling back into things. Either Davidson's barreling back and tying the game, or Fordham's barreling back and coming back themselves. It's never slow. This game's been very back and forth and quickly.
Sure has, and even when there haven't been that many buckets, it's still been back and forth, up and down the court here. With the 5 out there now for the Fordham Rams, Antrell Charlton, Will Richardson, Abdu Simbila, Elijah Gray, and Kyle Rose will be the inbounder. 10 minutes and 11 seconds to play in our second half. Fordham now trails by 4 in a bit of a comeback spot here from Davidson, North Carolina.
Well, they've got an opportunity here, but a full court press from Davidson will try to stifle them.
Kyle Rose inbounds to Antrell Charlton and gets it back, and now it's Kyle Rose to push up on Angelo Brizzi. Crosses the timeline near side and flips it into the hands of Antrell Charlton. Charlton, left arc, chest pass. Over to Elijah Gray, top of the key. Here's Elijah Gray, dribbles between the legs. 10 seconds to shoot. Hands off for Antrell Charlton. Charlton looking for the lob down low, and it's picked away, but Antrell Charlton regains. 3 seconds to shoot. Here's Antrell Charlton, dumps it down low for Abdu, and he rises as the shot clock expires. He will get bailed out and draw the contact. So with 9:41, Fordham Rams back to the free throw line, and once again, it's Abdu Simbila. That's his 6th foul drawn today. He's looking like that powerful big we know him to be.
Yeah, Simbila 4 of 6 from the free throw line thus far. Just 1 second was left on that shot clock when he got the whistle that sent him to the line, and you need him to be productive on this trip if you're Fordham to tighten that gap.
Abdu Simbila strong off the heel. And the student section feels they're responsible for yet another miss. It's 43-39. The Davidson Wildcats on top here at home. 9:41 to play with another righty free throw coming out of the big Abdu Simbila.
He's 4 of 7 from the line now, 73% this season, so on pace there.
Simbila cashes in the second. Fordham back within a possession now, 43-40. Davidson on top. Cochera catches the inbound, dishes back to Angelo Brizzi, and Brizzi crosses the timeline now. 24 seconds to shoot. Content to take some time off this clock. Brizzi outside on the right perimeter, swings it up top for Adam. Adam back to the basket on the 8-10 logo. He'll flip it over to Bailey. Bailey dribble drive from the right corner. In on Abdu Simbila, the fade with the right hand, and the righty floater fade strong there. And the rebound into the hands of Fordham. 43-40. Fordham trails by 3. Here's Elijah Gray, dribble drive, top of the key, loses the handle, but it'll be last touch. Reed Bailey on the baseline, so staying here with Fordham. 9:07 to play in the second half. 43-40, the Davidson advantage.
Gray maybe a little excited to be back home, having his parents in the first row, doing a little too much there, but he'll settle down. He'll get it going.
And the lob and the two-hand slam. Abdu Simbila catches the slam. And what a play out the baseline inbounds. Fordham within one now, 43-42. Cochera left arc three in transition and fires right back with the answer. It's 46-42 Davidson.
These teams tit for tat, going eye for eye, Miles. One answer back and forth with another.
8:40 to play. Here's Antrell Charlton on the left arc, and he bounces it into the hands of Grant Huffman. Looking for the low post entry, but it's picked off. Here's Brizzy. Right corner transition triple, and Angelo Brizzy heating up here at home. It's a 49-42 Davidson lead.
Yeah, Brizzy, like we said earlier, 20% three-point shooter. But tonight, making it rain from downtown.
It's a 6-0 Davidson run in the last 2 minutes. Here's Antrell Charlton at the top of the circle. Takes the Abdu Simbila screen and kicks it. Right corner, Kyle Rose with the answer. Kyle Rose the triple, and Fordham back within just 4, 49-45. Huffman looking to go coast to coast, and he will draw the contact on the floor. So at the beginning of the dribble drive, Huffman will get fouled, and that'll stop the clock. 7:59 to play here from Davidson, North Carolina. Things are heating up. It's a 49-45 Davidson lead.
Yeah, Miles, Fordham fighting here. Now they're the team behind that needs to keep the effort levels high, the motor going, and the morale high as well. But you take a look at how they're approaching the situation, and it's not different than how they play when they're up or how they play when they're down 20, up 15. That's proof of an identity forming. The Fordham Rams just sticking to their guns, playing their game, taking maybe a few more threes than you'd like to see. As, wow, I can't believe this, a bicycle with the Davidson Wildcat and a cheerleader in the back of it is riding in front of us. That
Central Park-esque, you might
makes
say.
me feel like I'm back in Las Vegas, I think, more so than Central Park, just extraterrestrial-like sights all over.
But here in Davidson, North Carolina, both teams have been heating up, Chris, but particularly Davidson. They've hit 4 of their last 5 from the field, 3 of their last 4 from range. And Grant Huffman and Angelo Brizzy, really the pair responsible. Brizzy, 4 of his last 5 from the field, and Grant Huffman, after being held to just 2 points at the break, has really gotten hot here in the second half. He's up to 10 points, but we will take a quick break here from Davidson, North Carolina, 49-45 with 8 to play. Davidson, a narrow lead. This is Fordham men's basketball on WFUV Sports.
Hi, my name is Ryan Rucco, WFUV class of 2008. WFUV is your home for all things Fordham athletics, with live coverage of Fordham football, Fordham men's and women's basketball, in addition to our Saturday show, One-on-One. Stay right here on 90.7 FM for all things WFUV sports.
And welcome back inside Belk Arena here on the campus of Davidson College. Davidson, a narrow lead over your Fordham Rams, 49-45. I'm Miles Grossman alongside Kris Pursiainen. And Chris, while the Fordham Rams have been able to shut down Reed Bailey in the second half after an outburst of 12 in the first, a different name has picked up the slack. Grant Huffman, the other side of that 1-2 punch, up to 10 points on the evening.
Yeah, Miles, with David Skogman sidelined for the remainder of the season, it really becomes streamlined for the Wildcats. If they're running offensive action, it's going through Huffman, Cochera, or Bailey.
Back underway. Here's Grant Huffman, and the offensive foul. Reed Bailey away from the basketball. The moving pick on Abdu Simbila is going right back Fordham's way. 49-45, the Davidson advantage. 7:50 to play in our second half.
Miles, speaking of Abdu Simbila, something to highlight. He's got 6 rebounds and 6 fouls drawn tonight. 4 of those rebounds offensive rebounds, so he's been real aggressive.
Getting back to himself, exactly right. Here's Antrell Charlton. Outside on the left arc, picks up his dribble and finds Zach Riley. Inside now on the low post entry for Abdu. Kicks it back out for Riley, and Riley, no good, too strong on the left side triple. And Hunter Adam pulls down the Davidson rebound. Adam into the offensive set, hands off for Cochera on the right wing. Cochera up top for Angelo Brizzi. Brizzi, he's got the hot hand. Dribble drive in on Riley. Kicks it out left corner. Connor Cochera, and he rattles home the triple. Davidson red hot here in the second half. It's 52-45 Wildcats.
Cochera up to 15 points, and Miles, the Wildcats are 9-3 when he scores 10 or more.
And Abdu Simbila catches the lob under the basket, looking to go to work. He's blocked from behind. Angelo Brizzi taps it in the hands of Connor Cochera, and Davidson picks up another stop. 6:55 to play and a 7-point lead for the Wildcats. Here's Adam. Flips it up top now. Dribble drive for Brizzi. He'll find Bailey. Right corner for Bailey, and a wide open triple. 55-45, and Davidson, 6 of their last 7 from the field, and man, oh man, Keith Thorough and the Fordham Rams need a timeout. It's a double-digit lead for the Wildcats, 55-45.
Well, Miles, it's been a really big run here for the Wildcats because of their ability to stick to the plan. They're taking the same kind of shots they were to start the game. They're getting the same kind of looks they were defensively to start the game. What's going on here is they're staying to it, they're sticking to it, they're going ahead and still getting good looks, still taking those good looks. Now they just happen to be making those good looks. So it's 55-45, Davidson ahead, but this game has the same feel as it did when it was 24-23 or 29-25 or 36-34. It doesn't matter. It's the same game that it was earlier. The results are just shaken out a little differently. Fordham's been trusting a volatile shot all night in the 3-ball. Right now, it's not going their way, so you're seeing it on the scoreboard.
And Davidson, after starting out ice cold from range, is now up to 42.9% as a team. It's a 6-0 run for the home Davidson Wildcats in the last minute 24. And you hear the chant behind me, Chris, quote, "We want Skogman." Amazing. A fan favorite to say the least here. But Jaffe Medor to push into the offensive set, trailing by 10. Drills behind the back on the right side perimeter and draws the contact on the dribble drive. Grant Huffman, the guilty party. And Grant Huffman now inching into foul trouble here. That'll be his 4th of the day.
Skogman, a little interaction with the fans that started the chant. See him throwing up prayer hands and thanking them for the support. The action's on the other end of the court.
Zach Riley catches the lob at the top of the circle. 15 to shoot. Hand off for Jaffe Medor. Dribble drive, and Grant Huffman pokes it free on the dribble drive, and it's going back Davidson's way. 6:20 to play. 55-45 Davidson. The advantage and the basketball. Angelo Brizzi, the Nova transfer. Right arc. Dribble drive. Dumps it down low, and it'll be the foul on the floor. Will Richardson committed the contact. So a 6:13 to play. This one will be on the floor. The baseline inbound for the Davidson Wildcats in their home blacks. But now with 6:13 to play, Chris, the Fordham Rams are going to have to mount quite the comeback.
They got to get some shots to fall. They don't have to be from 3-point range, Miles. Just attack.
Here's Reed Bailey. Bailey hands off for Huffman at the top of the circle. 6:05 to play. Chest pass over to Connor Cochera. Stuck in the right corner. Dribble drive and a pretty move. Right past Elijah Gray, and he kisses it off the window and in. A 12-point advantage now for Davidson. 5:55 and ticking from Davidson, North Carolina.
Yeah, Cochera got Gray stuck like a statue, Miles.
Jaffe Medor looking to find the answer. Fades away from 5, and he's too strong. No good from the left side, and Grant Huffman clears the board. 57-45, the Davidson lead. Reed Bailey dribble drive, and he rose over Zach Riley, and Riley will get called for the foul. But, man, that was almost a Sports Center dunk out of Reed Bailey.
Well, Miles, I think what was really impressive there was the extent to which Bailey elevated after his feet left the ground. It was almost like there was a second trampoline in the air or something, because he goes up, balls in both hands squarely between them, right? He's going towards the rim, elevating, and then all of a sudden, like a bad stunt scene out of Spider-Man 2 or something, he just springs up and goes again, and it was like he had a second jump in him. But This isn't Kirby. This is men's basketball.
So Reed Bailey, his first bucket of the second half. Up to 15 points on the evening now. Make it 16 with the made free throw. It's a 58-45 Davidson advantage and a 9-0 run in the last 2.5 minutes.
Veteran presences of Charlton and Rose injected back into the lineup for Fordham. It's Richardson and Dean, the sophomores, to the bench.
So a 2 of 2 trip for Reed Bailey. Make him 9 of 13 from the charity stripe today. It's a 9-0 run. Make it 10-0 coming off the made free throw in the last 2:30. 59-45, the Davidson advantage. Here's Kyle Rose at the top of the key in the turquoise shoes. Angles his way to the left corner. Flips it over to Jaffe Medor. Dribble drive, Jaffe Medor draws contact. Got the ball slapped out of his hands. And that will be the 5th of the day on Grant Huffman. And, of course, the crowd does not like that one. But the next one will be the final foul. Excuse me, the 4th foul. So the next one will be the final foul for Grant Huffman.
And all the fans here think it was all ball. But for Medor, you saw the hand flip quickly after the ball got knocked out. That's not because the hand lost the ball. That's because it was hit. So you see the proof of contact. Now Medor's at the free throw line, not because he was shooting, but because Davidson's in the bonus. He's got to make the first to even get a second.
So Jaffe Medor stands at the free throw line. He's scoreless today, and he's no good there. Jaffe Medor no good on his first free throw of the day, and a big part of Fordham's offensive woes is their leading scorer is scoreless. Here's Connor Cochera probes on the left side of the perimeter. Antrell Charlton provides the pressure. He'll find Reed Bailey. Reed Bailey, right side of the arc, pulls back the jumper, well short off the front of the iron from the right side. And Kyle Rose rips free the Fordham rebound. Skip pass ahead. Jaffe Medor, right corner. He'll find Elijah Gray, right side of the arc. The skip pass left corner. Josh Rivera, left corner triple, no good. Strong off the right side of the iron. And Grant Huffman corrals the free rebound. It's 59-45. Davidson, the lead and the ball. Angelo Brizzi dribble drive down the left side of the lane. And Antrell Charlton pokes it free. Ahead to Josh Rivera, and Rivera gets blocked back by Hunter Adam. Hunter Adam, the rejection in transition. And Davidson going the other way. Connor Cochero, right corner three. No good off the back of the heel. But Grant Huffman, the offensive rebound. And Coach Matt McKillop says slow things down. Angelo Brizzi to restart at the top of the circle. 4 minutes flat to play. 59-45, the Davidson lead. Right corner triple. Cochera well short. And that time, Jaffe Medor, too aggressive on the box out. It'll be the foul on the floor with 3:57 to play. It's a 59-45 Davidson lead, and the Fordham Rams haven't scored in the last 4.5 minutes of basketball time.
No, sir, and Hunter Adam, the redshirt freshman forward out of Christchurch, New Zealand, a big part of that. So 2.8 points per game, 1.9 rebounds per game. He's not on the floor because of his offensive prowess. I can tell you that just from a look at the stat sheet. But when you watch how he plays, Miles, it's all about the defense. You take a look at guys who have made it to the next level without being an offensive star, and they've got every single margin covered. Hunter Adam, great at switching, great at closing out, and that time great in transition, blocking the jam.
So Fordham was in this 1.5. In fact, they led 24-23 at the break, but Davidson running away with it here in the second half. It's 59-45. Davidson on top here at home, but with that, we'll send it back to our Rose Hill studios for a scoreboard update with Ben Oppenheimer.
The one-on-one scoreboard.
Circling back to A10 men's basketball one last time, Duquesne is looking to cruise to the finish line at home versus St. Louis as they lead 71-55 with 6 minutes left in the game. Day Grant of Duquesne leads all scorers with 29 points. And for UMass, they look to achieve an upset win at home versus VCU as the Minutemen comfortably lead 70-50 with 2.5 minutes left. Josh Cohen of UMass now has 20 points. And for top 25 matchups in Missouri, the Tigers are caught in a tight game with the Volunteers as Tennessee is up 55-52 with 8.5 minutes left in the second. Sean East II of Missouri leads all scorers with 19 points. And now taking a look at the action on the ice, the Islanders lead the Penguins away in Pittsburgh 3-2 as the second period concludes. And the Rangers lead the Dallas Stars 2-1 at MSG after 2 periods of play. For New Jersey, the Devils trail the Capitals 2-1 in D.C. at the end of the second. With the one-on-one scoreboard, I'm Ben Oppenheimer.
(59-45), the Davidson Wildcat lead here at home over your Fordham Rams. 3:57 to play. I'm Miles Grossman alongside Kris Pursiainen. And Kris, in those first 20 minutes, the Fordham Rams were a participant in a real defensive slugfest. They were able to play their brand of basketball and come out on top after 20 minutes. 24-23 was the score, but in the second half, Davidson moving quicker, moving with more aggression, and they're running away with this thing.
Yeah, Miles, Davidson 1 of 5 from three-point land in the first half. They had a total of 23 points. Now, here in the second half, 4 minutes remain. They've already scored 36, and part of the reason for that is that they're 5 of 11 from 3 now. That's 45.5% in the second half. Of course, for the game, it brings them to 6 of 16, 38%. Not too shabby.
So 3:57 to play, and the Fordham Rams trail by 14. Comeback time here in Davidson, North Carolina, looking to even up the season series at 1 apiece. Of course, if you remember, back in January, Davidson and Grant Huffman marched up to the Bronx and stole a dub right there. But 3:52 and ticking here from Davidson. Back underway, it's Grant Huffman, top of the circle. Angles his way to the right wing. Draws two defenders, now picks up his dribble and kicks it up top. Connor Cochera, top of the key, dribble drive, never really handled the pass, and down low into the hands of Josh Rivera coming off the out-of-control drive. Antrell Charlton stands on the left arc. He'll flip it into the hands of Kyle Rose. 3.5 to play. Here's Will Richardson on the dribble drive from the right side. He'll draw the contact on the floor, so that'll stop the clock with 3 minutes and 27 seconds to play. The crowd doesn't like the call. 59-45, the Davidson advantage, and it's a 1-1 now for Will Richardson with the Fordham Rams in the single bonus.
And Miles, speaking of fouls, while you were talking earlier, referees made a little switch up. So that fourth foul on Grant Huffman was transferred to Hunter Adam. He now has 3 fouls, as does Huffman, back down from 4 to 3.
So Will Richardson a deep bend of the knees, and he earns himself the second free throw. Nothing but net on the first. It's a 59-46 Davidson advantage. 3:27 to play. One more free throw coming for the sophomore guard out of Teaneck, New Jersey.
201, Bergen County. Many call it home, but basketball very prevalent.
So a 2-2 trip out of the right hand of the sophomore Will Richardson. And a 59-47 Davidson advantage. Here's the full court pressure for the Fordham Rams in their road grays. Angelo Brizzi chest pass into Adam, and he's got his pass picked off. Charlton pokes it into the hands of Will Richardson, and Fordham moving back right to left in transition. It's Elijah Gray. Right corner triple, no good. Strong off the left side of the iron on the high arcing three, and Grant Huffman clears the board.
Gray forcing the issue a little bit. He started out hot, now just 4 of 7 from the floor.
3 minutes flat to play. Here's Angelo Brizzi, dribble drive from the left side. And Elijah Gray was behind him when he reached in, and just a poor reach there for the sophomore. Got caught on the mismatch, and now that'll put Davidson into the single bonus with 3:02 to play. It's a 59-47 lead. Of course, Davidson homing in on a low-scoring victory.
Yeah, Gray up to 3 fouls, so Ramad Dean checks in for him because he's got 0.
So Brizzi, 1 of 1 at the free throw line today. No good off the left side of the iron. Antrell Charlton, the board and a burst of speed. Kicks it up to Kyle Rose. Right arc three. Rose, no good on the wild shot, but Josh Rivera, the offensive rebound, and he rises and he's no good, but he will draw the contact. Rolled all the way around the rim and no good, but Josh Rivera got slapped, and he'll be headed back to the charity stripe for a pair. It's 59-47 Wildcats, 2:51 to play. And, of course, 2 more coming for Josh Rivera.
Well, 2 in general, Miles. He hasn't been to the free throw line yet today. We thought he was headed there early in the first half. Now his first trip to the line comes late in the second.
So Josh Rivera, the 46.6%er, rattles home the first of 2, and Fordham back within 11.
Yeah, I have an even lower percentage than that. So
42.6, did I get there?
You said 46, but it's 42, which is not as great.
No, I switched the two in the
Slightly
six there.
worse.
So the
Hey.
42.6% are, pardon me. As Josh Rivera, good on the second. And Fordham within 10 now, 59-49. The full court pressure out of the Rams. Brizzi flips it ahead to Reed Bailey on the left arc. Back to Grant Huffman, and now Davidson breaks the full court pressure with ease. Here's Brizzi, top of the circle, cuts right to left, dribble, drive, and a one-hand slam. Angelo Brizzi, the career day. He's up to 13 points. It's a 61-49 Davidson advantage. Here's Will Richardson, dribble drive from the right side, the scoop lay off the window and in. Silences the crowd just a little bit, 61-51. Connor Cochera beats the full court pressure ahead to Reed Bailey under the bucket, kicks it back up top, and now with 2:10 to play, Davidson will milk the clock. 18 seconds to shoot. Connor Cochera on the right side perimeter draws two defenders. And we got the timeout taken by head coach Matt McKillop. He saw his man, Cochera, was caught between two defenders in the near side forecourt, looking a little frantic, and now both sides will head to the huddles. 2:05 to play. It's a 61-51 Davidson lead.
And Miles, something to note about Angelo Brizzi, his career high is 15 points. That two-handed jam, which came pretty much out of nowhere, Brizzi, not too tall, just 6'3", the redshirt sophomore.
Shortest member of the rotation.
And that's Davidson basketball, lengthy and skilled, but for Brizzi, getting up for the jam got him to 13 points. So one more basket, and he's tied his career high. Here's a redshirt sophomore. He was from Villanova, as you mentioned earlier in the broadcast, but he actually left after just one semester. He transferred to Davidson in the second semester of last year. Didn't play, obviously, but got to know the team, and you can see that translating here. He's a talented player who knows the system.
So 2 minutes to play from Davidson, North Carolina. It's the near sideline inbound for Davidson and their home blacks. Cochera flips it high post. It's Grant Huffman. Huffman looking to get it into the hands of Brizzi. Will Richardson taps it out of play on the far sideline. Last touch, Richardson staying here with Davidson. 1:58 to play. Fordham trails by 10, looking to mount a miraculous comeback. Here's Reed Bailey, left side of the arc, hands off for the curling Grant Huffman, and Huffman whips down the pass for Connor Cochera. Cochera the easy deuce once again. For the third time today, Chris, Davidson has been wide open under the basket.
And Connor Cochera is up to 19 points, Miles. Like I said earlier, these Wildcats are 9-3, soon to be 10-3 when he scores in double figures.
63-51, Will Richardson, the transition, left side three, no good short. He gets his own miss. Dribble drive the left side, and he's well short there as he commits the frustration reach in on Reed Bailey following the rebound. So Reed Bailey, more free throws coming on the other side with 1:38 to play. It's a 63-51 Davidson lead here at home. And the Fordham Rams showed flashes of that ergo brand of basketball, but in this second half, particularly in the final 15 minutes, they have been anything but. One for their last 7 from downtown, one for the last 10 from the field as Reed Bailey rattles home the first of 2 free throws. It's 64-51. The Davidson Wildcats, a dominant advantage with 98 seconds to play.
Cochera nowhere near his career high. He's notched 29 twice in conference play this season, but definitely a big outburst from him, and Reed Bailey as well, now up to almost 20 points.
2-2 trip for Reed Bailey. He's up to 18. Will Richardson, a burst of speed. He'll kick it right arc for Kyle Rose. Rose too strong on the triple. Offensive rebound. Josh Rivera rises with the right arm, and he's out of control and too strong. Reed Bailey corrals this one, and now the Fordham Rams will not foul here. 1:19 and ticking as Josh Rivera, out of control, reaches in on Angelo Brizzi, and that wasn't an intentional foul to stop the clock. That was just a little bit of a careless move for Josh Rivera, but it will result in the clock stoppage with 1:17 to play. More free throws coming for Davidson. It's 65-51. Wildcats the lead.
Jameer Tripp just checked in for Josh Rivera, so a second frustrated power forward for the Fordham Rams. Subs out after a frustration foul. First Elijah Gray, now Josh Rivera.
So Brizzi rattles home the first of 2 free throws, up to 14 points on the evening, including a couple triples and an emphatic one-hand slam. And of course, if he makes the second free throw, he will tie his career high. It's 66-51. The second free throw, no good, off the right side of the iron. Ramad Dean, the weak side rebound, ahead to Antrell Charlton. 1:12 to play. Charlton whips over the pass. Kyle Rose, left corner triple, airballs it strong there into the hands of Connor Cochera. Antrell Charlton commits the intentional foul, and now once again, everyone will trot all the way over to the right side of the court. It's 66-51. Davidson on top with 1:07 to play.
Yeah, Miles, and now for the Fordham Rams, that's 10 team fouls. So Davidson's got 9, Fordham's got 10. It's been a long second half because of all these stoppages.
Connor Cochera cans the first of 2 free throws, 67-51. It's a 6-0 run once again for Davidson in the last 1:43, and the Fordham Rams absolutely silent as of late offensively. He cans the second, 68-51. 1:04 to play as Antrell Charlton a burst of speed into the offensive half. Charlton, right side short corner, kicks it up top for Ahmad Dean. Dean, top of the key, finds Antrell Charlton. Charlton fakes the 3, now pulls the 3 in and out there. Ramad Dean pokes the rebound into the hands of Connor Cochera, and Cochera now to walk the other way. It looks like Matt McKillop will stop the clock here. He wants to get his bench guys in. And Kris, let's see who he will. It's the fan favorite here, Kris Sosnick, the senior guard, 6'2" out of Washington, D.C. And you can tell by the roar behind me, this guy's a fan favorite.
Well, he went to the scorer's table, didn't actually check in. It's still basically the starting lineup out there for Davidson. But now he's away from the bench and on the floor. He was just hanging out with Grant Huffman over there. He's in the game.
44.5 to play, 68-51 is the Davidson lead, and it seems they got what's our equivalent of an Albie Evans situation here.
There's Evans himself.
And they're trying to get him the ball. Drops it down low for the cutter, and the righty lay, no good for Kris Sosnick. But the graduate guard, usually the senior guard, number 55 out of Washington, D.C., did draw the contact, and he will head to the free throw line for 2.
Sosnick kind of sent himself flying at the rim, goes up with the left hand, and definitely didn't touch anything but backboard, but a trip to the line I think he'll take.
So deeply bends the knees and disappoints the crowd with a clang off the heel there, but we got more walk-on bodies set to check in here. We got Brock Matheny and Michael Katzok, 2 players who are well outside of the rotation, getting some time here in a blowout affair in Davidson, North Carolina, 68-51 with 1 free throw coming, and he's no good. Off the heel, he had 2 opportunities, and he's going to go home frustrated with himself today, but Davidson will escape with the win. Albie Evans airballs the 3 in transition. Jameer tripped the save into the hands of Richardson, and Richardson now gets fouled on the floor, and this one's just getting hectic here. We got almost everybody out there who's not normally in the rotation, but with 14.2 seconds to play. We'll see who they send to the free throw line. It is Will Richardson who corralled the loose ball and got it up, 68-51. Davidson on top, 14.2 to play. 2 free throws for Richardson.
And for Davidson, now they have their Albie Evans in the game. It's Brock Matheny, number 51, 5'10", 155 pounds, wiry, thin frame, and he's got to be their end-of-bench guard that is actually from Davidson, North Carolina himself. So a hometown kid, 5'10" guard playing at the D1 level. There you have it.
So Richardson no good on the second, and 0-2 trip there. And with 11 seconds to play, Jameer Tripp picks off the pass in the backcourt, and he'll get fouled. So now 10.3 seconds to play, and 2 free throws coming for the freshman Jameer Tripp. Of course, it is all technicalities at this point. Davidson 68, Fordham 51.
And the reason for the grand excitement with the 2 Richardson misses, this crowd just won free dominoes. So there's a promotion for you. Back at Fordham, it's a Chick-fil-A sandwich. And down in Washington Heights, not as exciting as maybe a whole pizza.
So Jameer Tripp good on the first of 2 free throws. 68-52 is the lead. The shot clock is off as the freshman buries the second free throw. 68-53 now the advantage, and Davidson will walk across the timeline and close it out here. 68-53, here's the horn. And from Davidson, North Carolina, the Fordham Rams fall at the hands of the home Wildcats. 68-53, Davidson will take this one. And after a pretty solid effort in our second half, they led 24-23. Davidson rallies back for an absolutely dominant second 20 minutes. Running away with this one.
Yeah, Miles, it was a really great team effort for Davidson. It felt like when it got to the point of them coming away with it, they just skyrocketed out to that lead. The points couldn't come any faster for the Wildcats. The Rams defense, we know, has struggled all season to be a tough one. I mean, Davidson still getting out to 68 points in a game where they had 23 at halftime. Now for Fordham, they give up about 76 points per game. Tonight, that average will tick down, just a little bit because they only allowed 68. But you got to remember, it was a 45-point second half for the Wildcats. And if I'm any good at math, Miles, if my second grade classes serve me any well, that's 90 points over the pace of a full game. Far too many to allow to any team at any level in college.
You're exactly right, Chris. That will be the figure that sticks with the Fordham Rams. Of course, they are back in action on Friday. So not that long before they have an opportunity to turn around, but we're now going to be joined by assistant coach Ronald Ramon. Coach, first of all, thank you so much for taking the time. And an interesting affair, real low scoring in the first half, 24-23. You guys have the advantage, but in the second half, things really pick up, and Davidson sort of runs away with things offensively. Just what you see the differences offensively, or that led to the offensive outpouring for Davidson in the second half.
Davidson is going to be a team that's going to continue to fight. They're going to find their way. Obviously, the way they play their offense, they move the ball well. I think for us defensively, we give up too many easy buckets. I think we kind of got to wait a little bit from what we were doing in the first half. But the positives out of it is, our guards did play hard. We made mistakes. We gave up some layups. We gave some buckets here and there. But at the end of the day, I think guys did play hard. Ramad Dean played an amazing game. He defensively, offensively, just saw him running down the floor. And I think it's a step in the right direction. Obviously, things didn't go our way today. But like I said, Davidson's a great team, and we're going to continue to work.
Well, Coach, you said it. Ramad Dean, he's actually coming into tonight was averaging 7.3 points per game in his last 6 games. He's now started the last 9, and tonight he had 7 rebounds, 2 offensive, 5 points. Seeing that production come along, Ramad is athletic. He's someone who can get up there for rebounds. But what is it seeing him work on these details in practice and then having it translate here to the game environment in conference play?
He's a great kid. He works every day. He gives 110% every single day in practice, and you could tell the way he's playing on the floor. Guys are learning to play hard every single possession, and I think that's the positive for our team. We're going to continue our culture. We're going to continue to work. We're going to continue to get better every single day.
And one of the things we get to talk about with Keith Ergo a lot is playing an X amount of minutes of Fordham basketball, and he labeled last game as 25 minutes of Fordham basketball. It seemed that in the first half, even when the shots weren't falling, that was still Fordham basketball, holding them to 23 and 20 minutes. Would you agree that that's sort of what Keith Ergo means when he means Fordham basketball?
Absolutely. In the second half, I believe we still play hard. Guys played hard. We just made mistakes, right? We're learning how to play hard, which is the first step. Now is being able to play smart and together, right? It's not going to be perfect, but we got to continue to work. As long as they continue to play hard, continue to give 110%, I think we're going to continue to make strides towards where we want to be.
Back to the stat sheet, Coach, for one last question. Davidson and Fordham had the same amount of rebounds tonight, but Fordham had 12 offensive rebounds to Davidson's 6. A lot of those came from Abdou Timbila with 4 offensive rebounds. Did you feel like he was back to form tonight in his performance, 6 rebounds and 7 points?
Abdul is a great kid, man. He's going to continue to work. You know, we all go through slumps, especially in basketball. You know, we talk about it for a shooter, a shooting slump. Abdul doesn't stop working. You know, he's going to continue to work, whether he's making shots or not. You know, that's part of the game. But he continues to play hard every day. He's continuing to play defense the way he does, making sure he comes in and rebounds for our team, and he gives everything he has for our team every single day.
Coach, thank you so much for your time, and good luck on Friday against Duquesne.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
And that's that Friday ESPN2 affair. First time Fordham's been on ESPN2 in 10 years. This Friday night, our very own Kris Pursiainen and Colin Loughran will have the call. So if you don't have cable television, we hope you join us here on 90.7 FM. But here from Davidson, Davidson now moves to 15-11 and 5-8 in Atlantic 10 play. On the other side for the Fordham Rams, 10-16 overall, 4-9 in conference. And the unfortunate theme that we have to discuss is the Fordham Rams now lost their last 4 games, Kris.
And Miles, it's tough because in the second half of this game, with 19 minutes and 4 seconds to go, Fordham was in possession of their largest lead of the entire contest. A 7-point margin for them at that juncture of the game is really good, Miles. You take a look at Davidson, 4-8 in conference play coming into today, now 5-8. To be up 7 at the start of the second half is great positioning. But like you said, we have to talk about how they lost that positioning. And for me personally, it comes down to the execution. Now, I don't think this is the disease, it's the symptom of that disease. But 5 of 11 3-point shooting for Davidson in the second half compared to 1 of 5 in the first half. No, Miles, Davidson players didn't magically grow a third arm in the second half. They didn't get laser x-ray vision. They didn't become Stephen Curry, an alumnus of the school. They got more open shots. And so when you take a look at the Wildcats being able to make 5 times as many threes in the second half as they did in the first, it comes down to Fordham's lack of closeouts and execution on the defensive concepts. And in our pregame interview with Coach Ergo, he talked about the second half versus Dayton, how they weren't executing on the concepts they had been talking about. You could sense a little bit of frustration from the head coach saying, hey, we're giving these guys the schemes. They're not playing them. You have to think, you hate to think that that's the recurring idea tonight.
And thank you so much for your analysis, Kris. Always a pleasure with you. A disappointing evening for the Fordham Rams. 10-16 on the campaign. 4-9 here in Atlantic 10 play. A big step back for Keith Ergo in year 2 at the helm of the program. But that's going to do it from us down in North Carolina. 68-53. The Davidson Wildcats down your Fordham Rams. And as we said, they'll be back in action this Friday at home. The first ESPN2 game in over 10 years. A big event on Rose Hill. So if you're listening, please fill out that student section as loud as we can. But once again, that'll do it from Kris Pursiainen and myself, Miles Grossman, here from Davidson, North Carolina. Your final score, Davidson 68, Fordham 53. But with that, we'll send it back to the Rose Hill Studios for the post-game show with Brian Rabacs and Ben Oppenheimer.
The one-on-one post-game report.
Thank you, Miles, and we welcome you back to the Rose Hill Studios for the one-on-one post-game report. I'm Brian Rabacs, joined by Ben Oppenheimer. Fordham loses their 4th game in a row, 68-53, the final against Davidson. They drop to 4-9 in the A10. And Ben, we talked at halftime. Fordham was playing tough early on. They entered the halftime locker room with a lead, and like Kris alluded to before they sent it back to us, led by 7 points early on in the start of the second half, thanks to back-to-back 3-pointers early on. But really, since then, Davidson could not be stopped. They went on a 25-6 run, and just a brutal second half of basketball for Fordham. It results in their 4th straight loss.
Well, as I said, Brian, during our halftime show, basketball, at least college basketball, is a game that is played in 40 minutes, unless there's overtime, which is an exception. But this Fordham team, they play half or a quarter of the half, if that makes sense. They'll play 15 minutes or 20 minutes. They'll play a great half, but they can't take it all the way. And you can't win games that way, especially when you're on the road against a solid Davidson team, or at least more better than their record suggests, even though Davidson coming into this game was at 4-8 in conference play. They're definitely a team to be reckoned with, and we talked about that in the form of Davidson's guys such as Bailey, Cochera, Brizzy, all getting in double digits. And the fact that Fordham let them explode in the second is a defensive failure overall. It's just a lack of cohesion. I think, sadly, when Kyle Rose is off the court, it almost reminds me of the Cavaliers when LeBron was off the court, and then their plus-minus would dip like in the negative double digits. And that's what I feel like I'm looking at for Fordham from a defensive standpoint with Kyle Rose off the floor. I think they just fell apart defensively, and Fordham paid the price for it. They played a great final 60 minutes in the first, and then in the second, they played a terrible final 16 minutes.
Yeah, not a complete effort for the full 40 minutes, like you were saying. And yeah, Kyle Rose was a big loss during this game. Ran into foul trouble. He's at 4 fouls early on in the second half, so they kind of got to get him off the floor. And yeah, the defense, like you were saying, just fell apart. You look at the comparisons between Davidson from the first half to the second. Half number one, they shot 31% from the field, and then in the second half, 57%. So they really picked things up, and Kyle Rose being at a loss was a big part of that. But you mentioned the double-digit scores for Davidson. They had 4 on their end. Angelo Brizzi, the redshirt sophomore, with a big day. He almost matched a career high in points. He had 14 tonight. But then you look at the Fordham side, 0 players within double digits. Jaffe Medor, no points in 22 minutes played. Just not enough of a consistent effort. And Fordham, just to end the night, they were 1 of 15 on their last 15 field goal attempts. So just not a lot of success scoring, and it's been an issue for Fordham all season long, but tonight it really just came to a head. It was a really tough second half, and they really weren't finding any sort of rhythm offensively.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much to be said about Medor's performance tonight. This is not what you want from your main point guard who's manning the floor, in charge of the offense. And I know just from witnessing certain games this season and watching him play what he's capable of in the games that we saw at GW or at St. Bonaventure. Some solid play that we saw, and in a couple other games this season as well. But this type of, I guess, disappearance, so to speak, is, you can't have that. When you're Fordham trying to come into Davidson, into their arena on the road, you need your top guy, and you could argue that Medor is arguably Fordham's flagship player. The big grab that they got in the offseason during recruiting time. And Medor, 0 points in 22 minutes. That's just, it leaves you wanting, to say the least. And you hope that performance won't happen again versus Duquesne, because Fordham, I'm not sure if they play the way they did in the second half tonight versus all the other teams for the rest of their schedule. I don't know if they can win a single game, Brian. I mean, it's harsh to say that. I can't believe I'm saying that. But there's 5 games left. I'm not sure if there can be one win out of those 5 games. I'm not trying to exaggerate or sound dramatic.
Certainly not if they play the way that they did in the second half.
Yeah.
It certainly won't work out that way, and I'm sure Fordham will bounce back and look to have a much better performance Friday night, 8:30 p.m. game against Duquesne. It's a whiteout, and it's their first ESPN2 game in 10 years, so there's a lot of excitement to look forward to. But we were talking about Fordham playing well on the road in the A-10, and we certainly did not get that tonight. A 68-53 loss. The Fordham Rams dropped their 4th straight game, but that'll do it for us here on the one-on-one post-game report. The sports director of WFUV is Bobby Chaffardini. On the call tonight was Miles Grossman and Kris Pursiainen. Behind the scenes, we had Luis Andrade on highlights, Kurt Sippel, our engineer, and Owen Kelty as our producer. Once again, the final score of tonight's game, Davidson's 68, Fordham 53. Alongside Ben Oppenheimer, I am Brian Rabacs. Enjoy the rest of your night. Fordham men's basketball is a production of WFUV Sports.